I think we're good too.
I think we're good now. Okay, I think everything is stable. Hello everybody.
Anyone in the chat yet?
Yeah, there's a few people in the chat, but we'll go over that in a minute. Hello everybody and welcome. I'm Justice Graves and welcome to my channel where I talk about everything woke, everything in education, and everything kind of out there and over the top insane anyway. I'm the host of this channel and I stream pretty much whenever I randomly decide to do so. And if you look to my left, your right, we have my co-host for this evening and our willing participant, Hunter Graves.
Willing. I don't know why he did air quotes. I actually.
He is actually a willing participant in all of this. Also goes by the pseudonym online of DELTADEADEYE.
Yeah.
Welcome. This is your second appearance on the channel. How do you feel about this being your second appearance on the channel?
Albino squirrel.
Oh no. So we'll let some people feed into the chat as we kind of go through. So what he's referencing is there's this I don't even want to know how to describe it. There's this funny
It's an old video of us. Basically, we're in the car and we were picking me up from high school and we're going home. And on the way home, it was after practice, and all of a sudden we just see this white squirrel, and then we realized it had red eyes, and then it was an albino. So I pulled my phone out and started recording it, and you'll have to see to understand that reference. That's how it works, Justice.
You gonna drop that link in the chat?
I don't have access. I don't know.
You're not doing that?
I can do it.
So you have.
I'll do it.
He'll do it as the stream goes on. You can't make a mention of a. It's really quite.
I will actually do it. I have to do it on Instagram.
It's really quite a stupid video. It just basically he just sounds like a leprechaun, and you just see like this white thing pumping out of the bushes and then just running around everywhere.
Pretty much.
But let's see how the stream is going. Oh, there's buffer. Is there buffering? Did you get haircuts? I got a haircut, Giorgio. Hunter did not.
I took a shower.
Hunter took a shower. Hooray, happy Friday. Hi, Kieran. If you are the third viewer, it's like, I don't know what hour it is in the UK right now, but I am sure he is not awake for this stream. Adrian is excited that we are going and we are going to review some more stuff. I did take a look at how the stream looked from yesterday. It looked pretty good. The audio was very clear and consistent. There was only really one skipping moment that I was questioning, but that was like 15 minutes into it.
Oh, okay.
But that was only like one thing. But otherwise, everything else came through pretty clear on audio. Video, we're kind of all over the place on video.
Yeah. Okay.
What are you doing?
I can't even do it because we're buffering too much because I'm on the internet.
Alright, so you're turning off your internet connection?
I will share it later tonight after the stream.
He's gonna put it as a comment in the chat, the video that we're talking about with the albino squirrel.
Yeah.
He's gonna put that into the comment section of this video.
Later on.
Yeah. Like way later.
Yeah. I'm also gonna post it on Instagram and by the way, everywhere is literally just DELTADEADEYE, if you want to follow me and follow me. I don't think anyone of you want to, because I'm going to be posting, like, video game stuff and maybe running. I've been learning editing, so that's why you don't, yeah.
So anyway, we are good. We have 3 people who are in the chat right now.
That's good. I appreciate you.
Well, we got 3 people watching. I don't know if they're all in the chat, but they're here. So we all know why we're here for today, and it's not for Hunter to eat bacon live on air, but he will consistently do that. There's also pop ASMR for eating bacon moments.
I'm not doing ASMR. I'm just bothering the chat's ears.
Oh, you're just trying to. Oh, well, that's wonderful.
I like to bother people, man.
Yeah, he just wants to be kind of obnoxious in the corner.
So obnoxious. I'm starving. There's a difference.
That's true. He got home from work at 5:30 and then he just went for a run and came back. There's also popcorn over in the corner too. You'll probably see me grabbing some of that as well as we go through this stream today. So I was just reviewing the 3 videos that we're going to watch. We're going to watch episodes 4 through 6 of the complete Evergreen story from the playlist on Benjamin Let It All Hang Out, the complete story at Evergreen State College. And these ones are this is going to be a little bit more action-packed. This is going to be a lot more of an action-packed one. It's not quite the super action-packed one because these, don't want to spoil anything. This is going to get significantly more interesting, and I'm curious to see what your thoughts are specifically on these ones. There's going to be some thought-provoking moments, and I'm sure...
yeah, because we're in the middle of that meeting still.
We're in the middle of the meeting.
Yeah, we're still in that
room
meeting.
4300.
We're in the middle of the meeting after all of the chaoticness that had happened, that transpired of the protest, in a sense, of that teacher.
Well, there's like
and something else.
There's just like, that's kind of where we're at right now, just as a heads up for everybody. Also, if you have questions or just random things that you want for me to look up, like yesterday, Giorgio asked, what is the origins of the day of absence / the day of presence? And I don't know that, and I still don't know the answer to that. But that does not mean that I'm not going to look it up and post it on Locals. It is going to be on Locals at some point, the answer to that question. And if you do have important questions that you want me to have the answers to that I may post later on in Locals, or maybe it will inspire a video, I will write that down. I got my sticky note and my fountain pen right over here just for those purposes. And also, as you'll notice...
We got the popcorn ready.
And we got the popcorn ready for the crazy, and what else are we ready for?
Excuse me. I also, if my eating is bothering anyone, please just shout it out. I will literally calm it down.
Well, most of it's probably going to be muted anyway, because we're going to be watching the video.
That's a good point, but still.
But the other side of this is also that feel free to chat, feel free to have fun in the chat, and if we see people trolling in, I will be eliminating those chats and hiding those people.
Please ask us questions. I like to answer questions. I think
Hunter
it's funny.
loves to answer questions. All right.
I also like asking them.
So we are on the cutting edge of getting ready for this. Also, one of the things that I realized is that we were cutting out things, some of the words and stuff in the last one. I have moved where we are on screen, and you'll see that in just a moment. I've moved where we are on screen for this, so it is going to be a little bit different. Yes, I know that's being weird in the background. Don't even start with
No, it's going to be in the top. It's going to be on the right side this time.
Yeah, we're going to be on the top right corner, but there's just some weird artifact that was just left on the screen. And I'm going to get it started. Are there any lingering questions, Hunter, that you have about? Because we did not do any debriefing. As soon as we ended the stream, we just kind of went off on our merry way. Is there any type of, is there any other commentary or lingering thoughts that you're going to be watching for in this? Any lingering things that
It's going to be definitely what the point I made that you liked last time was, it's definitely, I'm going to be watching out for power struggles, clearly, and the emotional highs, because I feel like that's going to be not only a common theme.
Well,
I have to know if they keep doing it. I gotta know. Like, it was so ridiculous, and how.
Oh no, I'm gonna make a joke later, because I don't remember if this is the set of 3 videos that certain things happen in, or if it's the next set of 3. But
I know I'm starting to remember some of this. That's why it's like, excuse me, I want to look out for that, because those are really funny.
And also, just a reminder to please like, share, and subscribe to this channel if you like this content, because we are putting ourselves through deep emotional labor to get through these videos.
I will harm you with a flick for that comment. I'm sorry you had to deal with him. I don't understand why you follow him or subscribe. Listen, just come over to mine, and you don't have to deal with that type of behavior. Trust me. Okay, maybe... No, actually, I don't think I could ever say that. I'm gonna be honest. No, but seriously, though, come on. Why do you gotta say that?
What, about the emotional
Yeah,
labor?
you gotta bring that up to me. Why do you gotta
That was hilarious.
That was so bad. It was horrible. Mayo, I am holding all the emotional labor on my back. Listen, I can hold the same
I thought it was funny because of how much there's gonna be a lot of times where they're gonna mention emotional labor in this series. Like, you need to understand that.
I know that.
All right, let's get started. Let's kind of get into it. We've chatted for enough time.
Bro.
It's 8:42, and we're going to kick this off.
I already drank so much.
Hallelujah, you've already had too much of your Gatorade. All right, we're going to get started. I'm going to mute us.
I was going to say, I don't understand how the diversity and equity plan was presented as this thing that people had to get on board with at this campus if you got paid by this campus, and then then it's turned around and then you get to send out all these emails about it.
Our focus today are the great goals articulated and elucidated by the council, goals that we must and will embrace. And I call on all of us, everyone here, to embrace this campaign, the struggle and the goals. We must engage this work. The council does not propose a one-and-done project. Our work in pursuing these goals will never end. The goals can't be achieved overnight or even over the course of a year. The work must become part of all that we do now and in the future.
In this plan, you're either going to get on board or you're going to get left behind. And so I don't understand why it was even acceptable to be sending the emails in the first place if there was no choice.
And it will take many hands to do this, to unscrew the structure of institutional racism. And our hope is that we're inviting you to come along. We're going to do it. Don't get it twisted. But we would like for you to join us on this road, on this journey.
To turn around and allow people.
The goals.
If you can't see what Hunter has put up onto the screen,
I lowered it.
he has put the goals. We are talking about well, this is just a little bit of it, but the famous canoe meeting was just described. It was just put on the screen.
I'm gonna get a little piece of paper real quick, and I'm gonna write the goals, and I'm gonna flash it every time they say goals.
Well, no. Also get it. Well, you're just gonna really. Well,
I also need a refill. Okay, you keep debriefing them. Entertain your audience.
I guess I am solo for a few minutes, as Hunter has decided he will be commentating through visual cues during today's stream. That was unexpected. So, every time I see that professor talk about the goal, well, there's the science professor that does the goals are informed, the goal representative of the best data that we had interpretation of the data at the time. I kind of laugh, and every time that other lady does that, don't get it twisted, I want to just put it as a meme and put it online because it's so bad. It's so cringeworthy and honestly is representative of just how unoriginal the woke are. And Hunter,
it was pretty original.
What do you mean? What walked in for no? We'll get back to this. They're not original at all. I'm trying to keep up with what's going on in the chat, and my device keeps taking a nap on me and has decided that it does not want to update. And has decided that it does not want to update me what is going on in the chat.
Well,
so we are gonna get.
Do we actually not know what's going on in the chat?
I don't really know what's going on in the chat right now because I gotta pull this up on my phone because we got too many things open on the screen. Hope we do the work, damn you. Get in the canoe. The canoe time. Yes, George. Emotional labor. The death of the grown-up. Arrested Development is bringing down Western civilization by Diana West. Oh, great. Another suggestion.
Sorry, Desk. You're up for something.
Okay, we're gonna probably look at that at some point, Giorgio. But my thing is that the goals.
Do I need to put an S?
Yes, you need to put an S on that. God.
Okay.
There's the goals, and then we got emotional labor.
I'm not putting emotional labor. It's
well,
so much
I'm gonna do emotional labor. I may also do this and chant with them when they say community love, which is.
I should get a paper for that one.
Community love.
Listen, this is important because the amount of times they said it last time was
the
like 20
amount of
times.
times. Yeah, it's really bad.
It was really bad.
See, he's starting to remember a little bit about this. Just like the cultish mentality of this. Come on, we gotta have our little chant moments when we make fun of this. Hunter, I don't get paid to do.
I don't know how to spell
When I
community
did
right
that
now.
live stream with Sloan a few weeks ago, he charged me money to use this room and his microphone for it. So just
I want to
remember
make
that.
this clear. It's because he's using it and I'm not using it. I actually had things to do that night, especially editing, and I'm still learning editing, and
Well,
so
when
I
Sloan
can't do it
asks
without
you to
him.
go on, you go on. So.
And if you want to use fancy equipment, you gotta pay up.
No one in the chat is allowed to support his... I'm kidding. You can support his capitalistic endeavors if you want.
I'm not... Okay, it's not capitalistic. It's investments.
Anyway, just remember that the goals are informed. The goals were made with the best representative
You should write
information at the time. And more importantly, community love.
You're gonna have to write community love and emotional.
I'm going to have to write community love.
I
and
cannot
emotional.
remember how to spell community right now.
Are
That's...
you serious?
I'm saying this or emotional because I am so tired from work. It's not even funny. And
That's embarrassing.
it's not embarrassing. It's like I'm not going to do it because I don't want to get up and get another piece of paper. So I'm trying to save us time, but I'm also trying to like say it's really bad. Like I know for a fact during this commune meeting, it's going to get really bad.
Well, this isn't totally about the
It's
canoe
really
meeting,
about
but it's
the canoe.
but it's gonna come up several times.
It literally says, I'm going to press this once. Okay, it didn't work. But if you scroll it back a little bit on the replay, it literally said in the corner, AKA the canoe
That was
meeting.
the quote. That was not the quote. That was the oh shoot, what am I talking about? That was the that was just a segment of the canoe meeting. Now this video has several of the canoe meeting, but I'm just gonna say. Anyway, we're gonna get started again, folks. Sorry for the delay. We're just having fun out here. All right, ready?
Wait, did we check the chat first?
What's the chat saying?
No, we didn't check that.
I don't know what this is doing. I think we're still connected. Don't look at my cell phone.
I'm just looking at the chat, dude.
No, it's not gonna help us. I have to do it a different way.
Yeah, check that one. Alright, turn it off on your phone, then check that one.
No, it doesn't matter. I don't see the words on the paper Hunter holds up. Don't worry, we're gonna deal with that. I think we're fine. Yeah, we're still going. Okay, it's getting sketchy, but we're gonna...
If we're buffering, also let us know.
We're always gonna be buffering.
It's gonna...
We're
it
always
will
gonna be buffering. I honestly don't even know if it's worth mentioning it.
I know, but it's gonna be, like... We will have to check the chat every once in a while.
Alright, here we go. We're going back.
To then use it as a weapon in the way that Brett did. It just doesn't make sense to me why he's still here if this was something you had to get on board with.
We invite that conversation. But if you want to be an obstructionist, work on your own. Because we don't have time for it.
George is our leader. And truthfully,
Grammarly does more than
I hate commercials.
I hate them too.
Why do we always hit commercials?
catch errors.
Oh, shoot.
Brought to you by Geico.
Not brought to you by Geico. Brought
No,
to you-
actually, you know what? Brought to you by Lizard.com, where we provide the worst lizard people available. Conspiracy
Oh,
theorists
please do
available.
not even do that. We're just gonna... Alright, we're getting back into it.
I'm
as soon
just
as
making
this...
up
I
stuff.
know, you're
I
just
can't
saying-
think of anything at the moment. That's
I
what
know,
you
we
get.
haven't seen anything crazy
we're at
yet.
this point today. It's because he did see the foresight when he came to this campus. And when he went off script on convocation in 2015 and said,
Even with the important gains achieved by the nation's civil rights movement over many years, our country continues to struggle profoundly with issues of race and racism, social and economic inequality, and repeated and glaring instances of injustice. At this moment in our history, we have a rare and a critical opportunity to address these issues. And in the days, weeks, and months ahead, we will have community conversations about power and privilege in our society and on our campus. And I assure you, some of these conversations will prove difficult. The issues and solutions certainly are complex.
Without him standing behind us 1,000%, then we would just continue to fight the struggle that we've all been fighting. Not all. Some of us have been fighting for hundreds of years.
A group of faculty and staff discussing diversity and equity asked me to help improve the college's work on these issues. And as I
Yeah, sorry folks, I was just trying to find some things because this has been a little...
It's buffering really bad.
Well, it's not just that. It's not just that's buffering really bad. Like, I can't watch it with data on my phone because it just won't let me. Like, it basically will just stop wherever you guys are stopped at. Like, I can't really watch what's going on. So it's being really weird. Let's just see if we can kind of iron this out. I'm live, blah, blah, blah.
No.
Let's just take a moment and see what the heck is going on here. So what has actually shown on the screen so far? Or what have you guys actually been able to hear so far?
I'll just keep dancing till we figure this out.
Buffer, big buffer. I don't know what's up with this. You're just gonna keep dancing? It's just a little frustrating.
There's nothing, literally justice. Someone's gotta do this. Who's gonna entertain them with knowledge right now?
Yeah,
I can't do that.
It's being really weird.
Oh, yeah, like my little ditty.
Oh yeah, we are like wicked. I feel like we're stuck or something.
Yeah, I can't tell. That's why I figured I'd dance. Ooh, bad butter. Yeah, they say it's bad butter.
I can't like figure out where we are on this.
It's behind. It's behind itself. Scroll it all the way to the right. That's how bad that one is.
Well, yeah, we're like in a wicked weird zone on this.
Yeah, just move it all the way to the right.
I can't do that. That's not how it works.
Yes,
It's like a really weird... Oh, no, wait a minute. I think... Okay, so something's happening on my screen. So something... Okay. We're kind of back at it. Okay, that's good. Sorry, folks. This is, like, really weird right now. No, I think we're kind of good. Let me see if I can get us back on track with this. So we are at the point where... So this might actually be a good natural point to just talk about, George Bridges. So first of all, that guy who was talking about, oh, it was stunning, basically saying it was stunning and brave, how George Bridges went off script at Convocation. Benjamin's going to point out something later in this, but George Bridges did not go off script at Convocation at all.
To give context, who is he again?
George Bridges?
Yeah.
This is George Bridges on screen right now.
So George Bridges is the guy talking.
Well, George Bridges is the president of Evergreen State College.
I forgot about that. See, the name, you realize I'm not going to remember half of these names after this. And I should not remember half the names. Because, first of all, it's not my life. Second of all, this was an event that happened. And I don't think it was drastic enough to where it affected history. It affected Evergreen
Hunter,
history.
it affected history. Hunter, people talk about this event, like, all the time.
Yeah, on the
Anytime
internet.
there's a college... Every time that there is a college riot similar to this, it automatically gets linked to this kind of stuff immediately.
That's hilarious.
Oh, really bad. All right, let's get back up to it. Hopefully this doesn't keep doing stupid buffering.
I became involved, I learned about inequities in the experiences of our students that were outrageous. Particularly those underrepresented and underserved students. And I seriously regret, as our president, the egregious gaps that occur here at Evergreen in our students.
Shoot, I keep
And
forgetting.
students,
Scroll and just press.
on behalf of the college, I apologize to each of you.
Hypocrite.
So cultish is the way that they
Well-
clap at certain points and the way that they do certain things.
No, community. Okay, I get up.
Hunter, they can't see that.
Yes, they can.
Hunter, they can't see that.
See, yes, they can.
Community love.
Yeah, every time they said that, it was like that was the cult. That was the cult move. Because you'd be sitting there and they're talking, and all of a sudden you just hear community love, and everyone just says it, and you're like, what the fuck is this?
Hunter, no swearing on my channel.
What the fudgicles is this?
Thank you.
It's too late. You're gonna
It's
have to
too
edit that out.
I'm not editing that out.
How far are we into this?
Peppermint bark, random entertaining message, eat Swedish fish.
We're getting ads or bots.
It goes bad for a bit. Yeah, it's gonna keep going bad for a bit. I mean, we can't.
What's
We
normal?
can't control it. We're just gonna have the best. We're gonna have the most fun that we possibly can, with the most time that we have on this. Peppermint bark apparently is what Adrian would suggest as a snack for this.
Peppermint bark?
You've never had peppermint bark?
No!
Well, okay, we'll deal with this later.
No, no, no. I want to know what this is.
Hunter, peppermint bark is. Hunter,
This is important.
do you know what peppermint is?
Yes.
Do you know what it tastes like?
Yes.
I would hope you would.
I do.
It's just another form of that. You
But why
break
is it
off,
called-
you eat it, it snaps.
It's called bark, though?
Yes!
Why?
We're gonna have to buy some and you're gonna have to just accept
Alright,
this.
well, one of the next live streams, we're just gonna have me eating that, apparently.
Apparently.
Look what
Are
you...
we really gonna put that on the list?
Hey, commenter, look what you did. You did this. It's not a bad thing. It's just a thing that happened.
I don't know why we're talking about peppermint bark. Let's just move on.
Boy, the comment. That's...
Our students are what this work is about.
People want to do something, right? They want to take action. They want to do something. But to also have permission to critique, like there's a lot of rigidity around the engagement with this, not just the document, but with the initiatives. Seems like there's a fear of critique. There's a party line in the committee. Like questioning the plan was met with you're on board. I mean, even within the group there should be room for us to say, look, we're all committed to this. The fact that we have slightly different perspectives on how to move forward shouldn't be a threat, right? It could be a strength. There's such a fear in saying that we're doing well at some things. In some cases, our gaps are so much smaller than the national norms, and no one even wants to talk about it. Guys, we have the National Student Retention Data Exchange data that says we may be disappointed in ourselves that African American and Native American students are not persisting as well towards graduation. But do you know how big that gap is in other schools? It's, blasphemy to say such a thing. We are doing something to counter historical norms. But that in and of itself is taboo right now in the climate that we're in.
We're the Evergreen State College. We do diversity well. We're leading the nation in diversity. But one thing we're not leading the nation in is equity. And what that means is that some of y'all sitting in these seats and some of y'all sitting in these seats have had experiences that ain't been right. The cost is too high. And the implications are too much. And at some point in time, if this campus is going to stand up for what it espouses to be, it needs to say enough is enough. Because if we don't, before we blink, we'll be in just as much shock as we were last week, but wondering what happened to the Evergreen State College.
That's how whiteness works. Whiteness is the most violent fucking system to ever breathe.
I think that's a good natural point to go into some commentary about this. So I have some thoughts, but what are your thoughts, Hunter? We're gonna try and eat less, Giorgio. I think we're kind of done.
Commenting on my eating.
Just what are your thoughts?
What are my
on
thoughts on all of that? Well, I was checking the door. My thoughts are simply that I think it's interesting that that the college actually has a graduation, like the gap on that is very small. I find that interesting.
Well, okay, it's not that students are graduating at high rates from Evergreen State
No.
College. Let's not get it twisted, folks. But what is happening is that what that professor was talking, or that member of the Equity Council was talking about, was that the council, unfortunately, and this is the thing that I was going to highlight, is that, you know, when that professor who was just talking just a moment ago was talking about how Evergreen is leading the nation in terms of diversity, but is not leading the nation in terms of equity. I have to ask you a question, Hunter. What is the definition of equity?
Doesn't equity, right, actually have to do with everybody, right?
Well,
like it has to do with their
what is their definition of equity? Like what
I
is
don't
that?
really remember the definition of equity particularly. I'm assuming, based on the name, it has to do with money, and it has to do with
No.
No? Okay, well then it just has to do with...
I mean, it does have to do with money, because the greatest threat to the woke is capitalism. They don't like capitalism.
Okay, let's get this clear. If there isn't capitalism, they wouldn't be able to say what they're saying and get away with it. Let's get that very clear.
Well, they don't care about that, because they can...
That's how that works.
Well, no, actually, they would be able to get away with it,
No,
because
they
would be
wouldn't.
in control of everything.
No, because the things they say would not fly in other countries.
It wouldn't fly in other countries, but if they set...
They would...
But if they set the tone and are in control, then yes, their stuff is...
Not
their
to
stuff
be...
is the way of the law,
Not
then.
to be, how do I say? Not to be grim, but let's just say I've heard stories of, it gets very violent quickly in those situations.
Yes, and I understand what you're talking about. The problem is the world that they want to create. Now, it very much will not succeed in that direction. However, in their own messed up way, they are getting away with what they're saying, and they're rejecting capitalism all at the same time.
Yeah.
And they're trying to move towards more of a communistic Marxist society.
And it doesn't really, because it won't work.
But let's go back to...
we all have
let's go back to the definition of equity. So some ways that we can sort of identify what that professor was talking about in terms of equity is that he talks about how some of the students, and this is his quotes from the video, you experience things that others didn't, and that just isn't right. What he's talking about is any differences in your experience. Whether that be... This is their definition. Whether it be a bad grade, whether it be having a bad day.
Okay.
It's about all feelings and emotions.
Then
Equity is about, to them, everything has to be the same.
Clearly.
Either it has to all... And really what that means is the only way to make things the same in terms of our experiences is to make everything really awful.
I think what it's...
But what they want...
okay.
Is they think it's going to be this utopia where no one feels harm, where nobody feels any pain, where everything is... Where there maybe is emotion, really joyous emotion, or maybe where there is no emotion. What we understand in terms of what is happening in order to force equity in these institutions are that students are more depressed, students are having more problems. That's what we're talking about. They are trying to equalize the playing field, but where that goes, typically it goes down into the gutter. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was gonna say
Like if one student gets hit by a car, all students should have that same experience.
well, they should have an equivalent in a sense.
No, that is not going to work for them.
What? I think that's
When they talk about
I
equity,
really don't.
it's not about they don't even care about equivalencies. It is about if you feel like shit, and I'm swearing on my own channel, so we're not going to do that next time, but if you don't feel good,
No.
then everyone shouldn't feel good. If that is what is going to be considered the acceptable mode.
Wait, so they actually believe the concept of that we
They
should
don't. They
all-
think it's going to be a utopia. But what naturally happens in order to make everybody equal, well, not everybody equal, but everyone equitable, is that everyone's going to be equally miserable.
So they have to all be depressed, is what you're saying?
Well, that's the end result of what happens.
Oh.
That's not what they think is going to happen. Also, how did you feel about when this woman shouted and said that whiteness is the most dangerous thing to ever exist? Also,
Listen.
what do you think whiteness is? Like, what is the definition of
Dude,
whiteness to you?
I feel like they're just gonna classify anything. I think it's like a segregation kind of thing.
Well, it is, but what else is it?
No, I think it's just racist. It is what
It is, but
yeah.
what I was asking is, what is whiteness? What do you
is
think
white?
they're talking about?
Well, okay, they're gonna go with the stereotypical what they believe, right?
Right, but
What do we
does that-
define as stereotypical? Well, we're gonna we should go with the you know what I'm gonna say. We should go with the one that was released by the that was it a museum? Remember? They did it about white people, and they also did it about, like, you know what I mean? I can't. It was really messed up. They basically classified. It was really bad. Who was it? Was it forensics? No. Why am I saying forensics? It's you know what I'm thinking about, right?
A little bit. I'm going to go kind of look at some of the chats right now. We have That's a really weird, bulgy neon audio bar. I don't know why Benjamin did that. It's just that might have just been the way that they collected I don't know. Adrian is exactly correct. Equity means equality of outcomes. Giorgio says that not liking capitalism equals likes being poor. In parentheses, he says it might as well mean that. But it's true.
Yeah.
But when she's talking about whiteness, she's talking about stereotypical elements of a classically liberal society, because they don't like classically liberal societal measures. So, for example, they're talking about that being on time is whiteness, that grades are whiteness,
Dude,
that...
What? Dude, I'm a white.
Do you
man.
remember society? Do you remember when the Smithsonian? That I think
that's what I was trying to say. The Smithsonian
it was
thing.
The Smithsonian thing that I was mad about.
That's what I was talking. That's what I was trying to say. I was trying to reference because he comes in and he's like, "You gotta see this. This is absolutely crazy," and we're just like, "What?"
This was like way before we did the canoe meeting.
This
together.
is before the canoe meeting.
We watched the canoe.
It was
meeting.
so horrible. It was so bad.
And
dude.
I'm putting on the screen, and my mom is screaming. She's like, "I can't believe they're doing this to our society. What do you mean this is what they define?"
Basically, they defined white people as like.
Well, they defined whiteness as anything that had to do with being organized, and blackness as anything to do with not being organized. Yes, they did.
It was worse than that. They defined intelligence as whiteness, which is ridiculous. That's a ridiculous standard.
They did that as well. They did do that as well. That ended up getting taken down in a lot.
They also said most white people wear glasses too. You know, it was
no,
so
I don't
racist.
think that was in that.
No, it was in there.
No, I
Yeah,
have
it
to
was
pull that
in
up.
there.
I don't think that's what
I'm
was
pretty
in there.
sure
It was
it
mostly
did.
about organizational and
I think
intelligent.
you should look it up.
You should look it up, but I have brought it up before. I don't think it doesn't. Wearing glasses is not a white thing.
I know.
According to, I mean, it may be. They may have changed.
They
it.
really did have some weird things. Like they had grades, right? They also had food, didn't they? They also had some. They had a lot of
bland food, but that was a different thing. That may have been
there's
that.
some really
No, that
racist
was.
comments.
I think Nicole Hannah Jones was
Swimming, I
talking
think.
about that.
I think
Nicole
there was some
Hannah Jones.
swimming things. I'm pretty sure swimming was involved in that one.
No, see, you're mixing a lot of stuff together. So that was not part of the Smithsonian's.
What was part of the
letter that came
Smithsonian
out.
though?
It was just about intelligence. It was just about grades. It was just about organization. It was just about being on time. It was about dressing up nice. That's what it was about.
Yeah, it was really weird.
It had nothing to do with some of that other stuff that you're talking about. What you're talking about, because I had started talking about when Nicole Hannah-Jones was putting on Twitter that was really out there about some of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And also some of the other stuff that was flying around on the internet.
Maybe I'm getting them confused.
You're getting like things like really cross-wired. I mean, they're not unrelated,
They're,
but that
yeah.
wasn't what the Smithsonian was talking about.
Well, you'd have to look it up to see exactly. I don't know.
Yeah, I may have to find it and put it in the comments later. I'll actually write that down to find the link to the Smithsonian.
Yeah, because that was huge. I remember that being a big deal because of how like ridiculous it was. But it defines. It shows what they're talking about though, because that actually defined exactly as to what they described as whiteness, which was super weird too. They also described it as like a privilege too, which I still don't understand that one. Because
well, you know what, Hunter? If you don't understand it, then maybe you should get some training from Robin DiAngelo.
Listen, because I felt like it was. I've always felt like it was the opposite. I always felt like it's starting to become the opposite because of all this thing.
Anyway, Adrian and Giorgio are exactly correct. Logic is whiteness, and showing up on time is supposedly whiteness because it doesn't serve what these people want, which is a society where they could just lounge around and do whatever they want. Unfortunately,
Well, they think communism is that you can kind of lounge around and get paid the same as someone who's doing intensive labor.
Yeah, that is not what happens. All right, do you want to move on?
Yeah, we can.
I think we've talked this out quite a bit.
Yep.
It's not an accident that all of our administration is white. Yeah. Right. It's not an accident. That shit is systematic as fuck. So while we sitting up in here acting like this conversation is gonna change shit, y'all know what changes shit? Action. That's why the fuck we in this room.
If we can create a more equitable and just community at Evergreen, our students, our students, will be the ones who work to close the divisions in our country and create a more equity.
You know, maybe I should not have changed my settings from, yeah, we're having like severe warnings, stream settings. I don't know if I can change that midstream. What are the issues? Low latency? Yeah, I don't think you can change that midstream. You know, that may have been the problem. I maybe should not have done it like this. Yeah, next time I'm not going to change some of these qualities. Oh, this is so weird.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. She turned her phone off though on the Wi-Fi.
She did.
Yeah, see.
It's still like buffering.
She actually did. I have mine off too. Mine's off. Yours on data. Yeah, we're sorry. We don't know what's going on. It's crazy. I mean, it happens. You know, we got. Just not a good night for us. Might be because it's a Friday and everyone's gone.
No, I don't think that's the issue. It's just being like I can see it on here. Like, I can sort of see some stuff, but, like, it's being kind of strange, like...
Like when our source buffers, we buffer.
Yeah, I want to get that off because it's not going to help us. YouTube is not, to me, seeming as such. Yeah, see, now I'm starting to figure out what the issue is. It's because of my settings that I put on with this, which I should not have
lower
done.
it.
I can't lower it to normal latency. I should not have done that. Because I was like, oh, maybe there's got to be a way to lower it, and no, I actually probably made this like...
Yeah, you can't go super low.
I can't do anything with that.
We can stop it and restart it.
I just don't know what that's going to do with what people have seen so far. I mean, I don't know where we are in this. See, now we're finally kind of back. You know, I don't think that's going to help. I think we're just going to have to keep charging through it.
Alright. We shall charge.
Oh, it's just kind of annoying. Well, anyway, that might be a lesson learned that if we buffered less last time, I'm going to go with the settings from last time because I thought this would be better for chat purposes, but clearly that did not play out well. Alright, we're going to keep going.
To then use it as a weapon in the way that Brett did, it just doesn't make sense to me why he's still here to get on board with.
I believe the equity plan is a great plan. I also know that in every organization, there are always people who don't buy in. Mm-hmm. And the problem is, they have an opportunity to speak their mind. Even sometimes they do it in the most offensive ways.
Mm-hmm. I don't care. I read your email. It's bullshit. Fuck you. I'm tired out. Fuck your students. And you had a
And how do we stop people from speaking offensively? That's a challenge. There is this concept of free speech. Mm-hmm. Now, if it constitutes a hate crime, if it's targeting a certain population, then we got a point of leverage.
Is it at all possible that we call these what they are when they're written on documents as alleged hate crimes? Because they're targeting students of color and making students of color feel unsafe. And I feel like that is a hate crime.
Thank you for raising that. I've actually asked the Attorney General whether some of these actions, I'm not talking about the specific ones here we're discussing today, are hate crimes. Mm-hmm. And there's a very narrow legal definition of hate crimes. Probably some of them are and some of them aren't. So I'm not a lawyer. I want to make sure that if we're going to call something even an alleged hate crime, that we have a correct legal definition, because the documents that we have, as we know, are legal documents. Public documents, we have to be careful about that.
When balancing between the line of like legality and what that's going to look like, and then like what effects on mincing words will have on like the student population, I need the emphasis to err on the side of protecting the student population, even if there's legal repercussions.
I mean, I think it's also not a coincidence that he decided to like target Naima and Rashida as black women and black.
That was no coincidence.
I know why y'all didn't stick up for Rashida and Naima. I know why y'all didn't do that, because y'all don't feel it inside of you to do that. Like, as people, you don't feel the need to do that because you've never experienced, you can't relate to us because you've never been oppressed, so you don't feel like it's your place to say anything. People that you have should have a closer relationship with, if you can't stand up and fight for them and wonder about their well-being, how is that supposed to make me feel like you care about me or my well-being?
I'm going to politely disagree with both of you. I am really angry about this situation. I am really angry about those emails. And I am really angry at the Deans and the Brett and the letters. I was infuriated by this. And it has to stop. Now it's not stopping. So we got to do more. This matters to me personally. Nearly 30 years ago, when I was a faculty member at the University of Washington, a colleague and I uncovered systematic evidence of institutionalized racism in the court system of Washington State. Astonishing repeated instances in which African American youth were subjected to racially biased decisions by judges and court personnel. I was shaken by that evidence and angered immensely by what I read. Case file after case file of black youth accused of crimes, and how poorly and my intense anger and desire for change drove me to devote years of my career to studying, fighting against, and eliminating racial inequities in our juvenile courts. Ultimately, laws were passed in the 1990s. Progressive reforms were enacted and achieved. And for a moment, it seems for only a moment, racially biased decision-making was drastically reduced in many areas of the state. And yet we all know that racial biases persist and undermine many aspects of our justice system today. And I've come to understand that eliminating bias and inequity anywhere is a lifelong struggle everywhere. I don't mean to put my hands hands up to silence you. That's not my purpose. It's a sign of my utter frustration and the challenges that we have in every organization. There are going to be a handful of people who are just going to tell us all to fuck off. Please don't put that down in the video. They're going to say some things that we don't like, and our job is to bring them around or get them out. Right. And what I hear us stating that we are working toward is bring them in, train them, and if they don't get it, sanction. Right. And you must, and I encourage you to hold us accountable to doing that. We're going to make a commitments at 4 to the things that we agree to. And I make it not get the words out of my mouth just right, but we're going to do this.
And then we got up to the top of the stairs, and there was a group of people kind of standing in a half circle, and one person who was standing there talking to them, and she was explaining that they needed to hide their mace and their tasers because the police could come, and they didn't want any.
All right, just stop eating. I'm gonna transition. So we're gonna go on to episode 5. We're getting that set up. But so what are your thoughts? I mean, ignore that last part about the mace and stuff because we'll get to that in this episode. But and we can already see on screen.
So
it's
right,
gonna be a fun one.
all right. So there was a lot in that actually, because it had to do with because it was switching between a speech. He was not a speech or him speeching in a sense, right?
Well, and Adrian actually puts in a good chat on this. She says, "Is he crying?" And my thoughts personally on this is that George Bridges is a narcissist, and he isn't crying. He is doing the fake crying that one of our favorite friends does on the internet. So I'm just gonna put it like that.
Well,
he sounds like a certain person on the internet. That's exactly what he sounds like. So let's go there.
Well,
you don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what he's talking about. I'm just gonna say this about the crying. So I had this moment of is he faking this right now?
He was so faking it.
But then I was like, okay, what if this is one of those, he just looks fake in everything he does, but he's actually serious?
Hunter, I don't think that man is serious for one red second.
I think he is. I feel like he is a little bit.
You think he actually believes?
I'm not saying. I think when he did that, I think that was actually serious. I don't think everything he says is serious, but I think for the most part, I think what he did there, I don't think he did that on purpose. I don't think he went I'm gonna do this. No, I think he was in the moment, and I think something happened, and it took him, it actually kind of hit him a bit. Right. Either that he was lying a lot, or that he actually cared. Now, you can show an emotion, and it can be that, but it has multiple meanings.
Giorgio chats in and says, a lifelong struggle of minor differences that are not worth it. He is referencing the fact where the Equity Council and everybody basically talks about how this is a lifelong struggle, and what President George Bridges is talking about, where it will where he has that moment when he's at Penn State, and he thinks that there's a glimmer of hope, and then he realizes, oh, wait a minute, I need to make this into a lifelong struggle.
What?
You didn't pick up on that, where he says that when he's talking about the juvenile system, and then the work with understanding the juvenile system and the court rates, and then he talks about how combating racism will always be a lifelong struggle, basically that it will never be accomplished, that you can never, ever, 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 ever get to a point that is acceptable. Not acceptable, but get to a point, period, where you don't have to worry about it.
I think it will happen. I honestly do think it's going to happen. I think
not at the rate we're going with this kind of nonsense.
I think it's going to happen because I feel like it's going to be something that happens with children before it happens with adults.
I don't know if that's ever gonna really happen because
Yeah.
people always like to fight about differences when they're older, but
I think
children
it's-
already don't see people based off of race. They just see things based off of what they do.
But like you and I, we didn't really grow up with that kind of concept in our mind. We didn't ever think like
But
that.
that can
ever.
be influenced by older adults that people can basically preach down to a younger child and basically tell them how to think and feel on that.
I think I think racism will ultimately go away generally because if we just put, like, I think it's the same way they're trying to do that to children and harming them, and I say it as because it's true.
Well, how is it going to go away if they're in total control and keep doing this kind of stuff?
You have to put your foot down. You have to put control into the hands of people who have a different message and have a different point of view. But, they have to be reasonable, obviously. You can't just put anyone in.
I don't... See, you're just, like, way more hopeful than me on this.
I have to be hopeful, Justice. Someone has to be hopeful in these trying times.
That's how we always start on this path.
Listen, you can't not have hope. Hope is one of those things that even though it seems like there's nothing left, you have to keep hope that some way, somehow, something will happen. And you also hope isn't the only thing you need, because you also have to actually make it happen, by the way. You can't just talk about it. You have to actually put steps forward to create these type of environments and create a better future. That's how it works. I'm not wrong.
So campus police phone logs from May 23rd, 2017. You want to hear these beautiful?
Yeah, I actually do.
I think we're going to
I think I know what this one is.
You think you know what this one is?
Hi, I'm calling from the Performing Arts Scene Shop. There's someone left their dog in their car in the handicap spot outside of our loading dock. The dog's been in there for like half an hour or so, maybe more, and the sun's on the window. I was wondering if you'd come over and maybe we can try to figure it out.
We can try. We're super low staff, and because of the event that happened earlier today, we're on lockdown. So Mike can talk to my officers and see if they want to go over there.
Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks.
During the meeting between protesters and the bridge's administration, Afropunk.com published an article about that morning's protest to Brett Weinstein.
Another ad. I swear to God. Oh, no, wait a minute. It may not be an ad.
No, it's over.
I was buffering.
It added, and then it buffered, and then it fixed it because of the buffer.
Okay, so we're out of ad land.
Einstein, based on student reports of quote-unquote excessive police backlash. The students in Afropunk were taking advantage of the Black Lives Matter movement, which in 2017 was possibly at its climax as far as public attention was concerned. Occupy Wall Street, which had replaced the anti-war movement, had come and gone, and the Me Too hashtag had yet taken hold. In fact, on Evergreen campus, not a few administrators and faculty had Black Lives Matter posters hanging in their windows. If the coinage holds true, that, if you want to know who is in charge, then find out who you can't criticize. Applying this to a slogan might show us what ideology is currently in vogue.
I'd like for someone on the panel to describe the difference between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter.
I think about on this campus, one of the ways that this kind of pushback that says all lives matter is, I think it happens, the best I can kind of come up with, I'm not white, so I don't know, maybe y'all can help me with this, is I think it's insecurity, right? I think it's this idea that by someone saying Black Lives Matter is saying you matter less, right? Because what would have to be kind of acknowledged is that because of this thing that is unearned, you've actually had a position where life has actually mattered more. And so no one's looking to devalue anybody so much as have like incremental attempts at evening the playing field. And I personally experience that response as violent, right? Because it's somebody trying to say, I'm asserting my life, right? I'm asserting my dignity. I'm asserting my capacity to just walk out my house and do what I need to do without getting shot, right? And other people just not being able to hear it. I respond to that as violent. I experience it in that way. And I think that, that would be the easiest way that I could think about the comparison between the two.
In early October.
All right, so I'm gonna post something on Twitter, but I think we need to have this conversation. So before I do that, what I think is interesting is that, so you hear Naima Lowe.
Yes.
She basically, with that whole sentence where she ends off talking about how I experience it as violent, what do you understand that she's trying to do in that moment?
So I think what she's trying to do in this moment, right? She's trying to compare the All Lives Matter movement to the Black Lives Matter movement, and is trying to understand their perspective. And she's trying to say that ultimately they are not the same because of violent matters.
Well,
because you're saying that, like, well, you don't have to worry about walking. Did I get confused here? Is that what you're saying?
I think this is the problem: is that you're taking her at her word that the words that she is saying mean exactly in English what you and I would say. But we got to go back to that whole. There's two different dictionaries at play here.
Dude, that's so.
She also always has an agenda. Naomi Lowe always has an agenda when she's speaking. Like, she purposefully, in that commentary, she says the all white lives, all lives matter movement. Like, she's already making fun of it, so you already know what her positioning on that
is. I just ignored that because it wasn't funny.
Well, it wasn't funny, but notice that she is basically saying that when she experiences negativity, what she was doing in that statement, when she experiences negativity because she is a black woman, that is considered violence if she feels uncomfortable because she is on the side of all lives matter. That is what she is claiming in that if she feels threatened, even if it's not logical, that is perceived and is physical violence against her.
That is a good point.
So she's transforming feelings into violence.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That is true. They do that, but there's
because remember that statement.
But she did literally say getting shot at. So I would take the assumption that
the fear of getting shot at. It's not actually happening.
Oh yeah, the fear of getting shot at. If you actually hear gunshots in a neighborhood and you're afraid, you were in most likely a low income neighborhood.
But that's not what she's talking about. You know, it doesn't matter what neighborhood she's in. She says she always fears that.
Yeah.
And the issue is that Lowe is saying that anything that she perceives as against the Black Lives Matter movement, I don't know why I'm trying to say the all Black Lives Matter movement, technically, even speaking, the Black Lives Matter movement does not even care about all black lives, but we're not going to even get to that point. But that's an important point to make. What Naomi Lowe is saying is that if she experiences it because she is on the side of Black Lives Matter, the perspective of Black Lives Matter is that is violence. This is the same organization or the same ideological basis in an organization that Black Lives Matter proposes and pushes that says that if you are silent on an arbitrary topic that they come up with, that is violence. So they're saying that silence is violent. You don't remember that, like, 2 years ago?
Silence is violence?
You don't remember that with the protests, the whole silence is violence thing?
Dude, ignorance is bliss, man.
Well, I didn't know you didn't know that.
Dude, I didn't know that. That's ridiculous. Silence is violence?
Giorgio says that All Lives Matter is a retort, not a movement. It's true, it actually isn't a real movement.
No, it's not.
Many people in BLM do not think white people don't matter. Do think that white people don't matter. Yeah, there's a lot of racial tension that's been going on right now, and there's a lot of problems on all sides with what they've sort of created. I've heard there are classes where kids end up self-segregating because of CRT-like teachings. That has been exposed on the internet quite recently in the past 2 years. That's kind of what we're dealing with.
That's not good.
But that's what she's talking about. That's what we're kind of dealing with. And she's doing it to silence the opposition It's all about silencing the opposition to them.
Which
it's
is
about
weird, though.
nothing else.
It's so weird. The whole thing is so weird. Like, it's very, like, confusing. Like, there's a lot of, I don't know if nuance is the word.
The problem is that and this is something that is really difficult to sort of get people's heads around on this situation, is that these people, they always talk about how other people have an agenda. The problem is they are the ones with the secret agenda at play. They are always projecting what they are doing.
Yeah.
That's not always true with people. There are some people who genuinely believe what they're saying in this movement, but especially with people who are getting paid physical dollars, high amounts of dollars to teach this stuff, they are projecting. That's what's happening.
It's so, it's absolutely kind of ridiculous, you know? Actually, I need more vocabulary.
All right, we're going to keep moving.
It was reported to me that a number of hashtag White Lives Matter flyers had been found around campus. My heart sunk when it was reported to me. And after consulting with a small group of colleagues, I made the decision not to share this report with the Bias Incident Response Team. And part of my rationale at the time was leaning toward a strategy, which is sometimes the right strategy, to minimize and quote-unquote ignore the act in an effort to lessen its power and impact, versus, of course, the alternative, which is to elevate and draw attention and use the opportunity to engage with more speech and education to address the incident. As I reflected, it has been important for me to recognize, and discouraging, for me to recognize that that judgment call was informed by my failure to step out of my personal worldview, largely informed by the fact that I'm white. And I thought I knew better. I'm disappointed and I'm embarrassed by that journey and that learning. And I'm especially concerned about it because I serve in a position that absolutely must do better if we're collectively going to better serve our students and colleagues of color.
Also during the meeting between Bridges and the protesters, the college communications officer, Zach Powers, sent the following email to all Evergreen students, staff, and faculty. Community forum regarding equity concerns today at 4 p.m. All Evergreen students are invited to join President George Bridges this afternoon at 4 p.m. in Library 4300 for a community forum about student-raised equity concerns at the college. Following a student demonstration and impromptu community forum on campus this morning, President Bridges and other Evergreen administrators are currently meeting with student leaders to discuss specific action items that will be set in motion immediately. These items will be shared at the 4 p.m. forum. The forum will also be an opportunity for students to provide additional feedback to college leaders. Now, Library 4300 under no circumstances can hold all Evergreen students, and as well, there's only one exit and entrance from this room. One additional note is the line, President Bridges and other Evergreen administrators are currently meeting with student leaders. First of all, who elected them student leaders? And secondly, what effect does calling them student leaders have?
Hello?
Hi, I'm looking for Davis. This is Evergreen Police Department.
Oh, this is her son, but I'm not sure exactly where she is. Sorry.
Okay, well, what we're trying to find right now is who has the truck on campus with the dog in it.
Oh, that would be my mom, probably, yeah.
Okay, the dog is in hot vehicle panting. My officers are out there as we speak. So if you have some way to get a hold of your mother, she needs to get to that truck immediately.
Okay, yeah, I was just trying to get a hold of her anyways. But she's at the rec center. That's where you could find her. I don't really have a key to the truck.
Okay,
Otherwise, I
he
would
doesn't
walk.
have another cell phone or another phone number?
Only the one that I've been trying.
Okay. All right, well, I'll see if I can get a hold of at the CRC. All right,
okay.
Thank you.
So yeah, lunch happened. It was announced that there was going
The video itself is...
Right, so I think it's buffering. So what we're going to do is we're just going to let it sit for a minute, but I think this is a good natural point for us to start commenting again. Giorgio has a couple of tweets, not tweets.
Comments.
Comments, a little, hopefully the bluebird is not in the chat.
Stop saying that.
He says, I think sometimes people project on purpose and not subconsciously in order to purposely distract people. That is exactly what Naomi Lowe does in all of her teachings.
Yeah.
And brown-eyed people's lives matter. What does that mean? Is that oppressive? Is that supportive of the disadvantaged? Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, I mean, there's a few different... I mean, confusion is not the best way to deal with these people because they will always... I mean, they'll double down if they feel threatened or in a confusing situation. They won't... Sometimes they'll act unpredictably. I don't know if confusion is really the best way, like singing at them randomly when they are up to something. I don't know if that's really a good solution.
Yeah, you cannot... See,
I don't know if confusion really addresses the problem either.
If people act... Okay, if people act in a situation to where they want to be advantageous, they do not want surprises. They are not looking for a surprise. They are setting up a scene to where they're the ones in control. That's the idea. It's a power dynamic again.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a power dynamic that Naomi Lowe likes to work to sort of utilize, and we'll see that throughout this series.
It doesn't work too well, especially in that last one.
Another thing to point out was your reaction to finding out. This whole time has not been mentioned yet, but in this video it was finally mentioned.
Yeah, there's only one.
So do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, there is literally one entrance and exit. Let's get this clear. That means
room 4300.
They wanted everyone in this one room with one exit and entrance, which shouldn't be like
another
that
point
anyway.
out is that email that gets sent out later on during the day, that is officially from Evergreen, and that is to encourage students after the protests happened and after George Bridges basically voluntarily goes up to 4300 and then holds his staff hostage by bringing him with him, because we're still on that same exact day, saying that that is a legitimate event that all students on campus should go to, and invites them over. Later on, the student leaders get angry that this email got sent out because they see it, obviously, because it goes out to everybody.
Yeah.
And they find out about it, and they basically accuse the administration of threatening them because they don't want all students at the event. They only want the people who support them to be at the event. It's a power dynamic thing again.
That's so... They want to have...
A captive audience only with no opposition.
I was going to say a captive audience because they don't want other perspectives on the matter and real... discussion, which
it's all about diversity.
I understand
until it's
why.
not about diversity.
I understand why they don't want the discussion, because they want to have a sense of like control. It's like, well, we're open to discussion. It's like, well, clearly you're not, especially how you're acting. No, that's not. These are not actions.
Giorgio. So Giorgio says student leaders sound like the worst people, especially on today's college campuses. I'm going to say that is an absolute yes, because I served on student government for one semester only, got elected in. It was both pointless and with some of the weird stuff that happened, and I might actually do a comment. I honestly might do a video on this, because some of those people have interest in having political futures, and I don't think that they should be allowed to just go roam free, and they're not good people. They're controlling people. A lot of these student leaders and especially the elected ones who are in student government, controlling people, not very great. I don't know if student government leaders were ever really good people or not good people. I don't want to sort of put that on, but the ones that I experienced, not so good. So I just want to throw that out there. And then Giorgio also says, just to break the window open for the dog. People do this. I forget why this is important. I don't remember.
We'll find out, clearly.
I forget who Davis is. I think this comes out later. Or maybe it doesn't come out later. Maybe this is just commentary in between, but I think that might be somebody else in the story's last name, but I'm not entirely sure, but we'll get back to that.
I want to understand why this is important.
You know, Benjamin just puts random stuff in here sometimes. I think it's also to illustrate why Stacey Brown has not shown up to this event yet, even though people want her to go to this event, because she's busy with an ongoing situation.
Oh, that's a good point. That might be why she's not there too, because she's somewhere.
That might be part of it.
Yeah, that could be a good point.
All right, do you want to keep going?
Sure.
To be a meeting in the library, which we all decided to go to, and Brett kind of asked different students, like, is this a thing that he should be present at or not be present at?
Somebody later found out that it would be okay for me to go, so I said, well, I'm going. I remember them thinking that wasn't such a hot idea. They thought it was dangerous, and I said, well, they're asking for me to be fired. I really think I should be there. And a number of them said, well, we don't want you going in there alone. We want to go with you. And I said, well, that's a great idea. I would appreciate having other people present.
I was already with a fellow student in the class, and we had gotten to the library and we saw another group of people in our class walking towards the library. So we waited for them to join us because there were a bunch of people who we had recognized from the protest standing around the elevator. And so we kind of just wanted to, I'm not sure, we'd all been videotaped, so we knew that people knew what we looked like. So we waited for them, and then we all went up the stairs together, and it felt like there were a couple people following us. And then we got up to the top of the stairs, and there was a group of people kind of standing in a half circle, and one person who was standing there talking to them, and she was explaining that they needed to hide their mace and their tasers because the police could come, and they didn't want anyone to be expelled or punished or reprimanded. So we were kind of, I guess we didn't know what they were talking about at first, and then we kind of stopped and were listening, and once they saw us, they recognized us, and they kind of, like, this ripple went out that we were Brett students, and so they stopped talking about what they were talking about, and we weren't really sure where to go, so we just started walking towards the room.
As soon as we came in, they told us that the chairs and anything in the front is for people of color only, unless you're disabled or a faculty member, and that the food is for people of color only, and that people of color were the only ones allowed to speak at this meeting, and then people of color who wanted to speak who weren't dark enough were told to stand down.
Many of us who were not used to being confronted by the idea that segregation was back and viewed as a good thing and all of that, were hearing things that were just beyond belief.
It seems like there was a epistemological segregation. There was a segregation that preceded the actual physical segregation that was enacted by a lot of trainings, a lot of orientations, a lot of what's called anti-racist work did a lot to segregate people according to privilege, which just, it seems like a natural flow that it would eventually end up to racial segregation being reintroduced.
I do think so. I think there's a way in which the idea is the received wisdom in the social justice camp is what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So everything that has been is going to be reversed.
And so at the beginning it was this big circle. So there was this big circle set out, and I assumed that, I don't know, Brett would be put in the middle with someone to interview him about his racism, and they'd have this conversation, and everything would be fine afterwards once Brett got a chance to explain what he meant by his words and where he felt the problem was. And that's not what happened at all.
Your body's only healthy when
I hate ads. Alright, let's get through this thing.
Your hormones are balanced, and that's what.
Oh no, because we can hear that. Let me get this out. So while we're trying to get through this and get back to the video, what are your thoughts, Hunter, so far?
My thoughts?
Yeah.
It's clearly that segregation is clearly a big part of this.
Yeah.
They clearly do not trust anyone associated with him, which is interesting. Yeah, it's so, I don't know, it's kind of the same stuff.
Yeah.
You know, different style. It's a little concerning about the mace and potential weapons, I think we heard, correct?
Yeah, so there was the discussion of
Yeah,
potential
that's
weaponry on
concerning.
campus. There was the discussion on the fact that I guess segregation's back hip in vogue, and that's why when they talked about, and I mentioned this like at a video on the video yesterday about how it was shocking that they talked about race in terms of, you know, the whites are giving us water and stuff like that. That's sort of the prelude for the conversation that we're having here with regards to this happens quite frequently.
Why? It's kind of annoying. Because it's weird.
Just trying to see if that's active.
Yeah, because it doesn't make sense why it's like that. Like, I don't understand the point of that. Like,
You don't understand the
like,
point of why they would want that?
Why would you, like, are you just trying to show more power? Is that it? You just trying to flaunt your power, dude?
A little bit.
Like, ladies and gentlemen, we don't need your power flaunting in front of us. We understand you feel powerful. What we don't understand is why you feel like
Georgia's talking about how it keeps getting the same health as that we keep getting, yeah. And I am allowing, so flat out, let's just talk about, like, I'm probably going to get a community guidelines violation for what's going on.
Why?
I am allowing what's going on. Because literally, sometimes whatever Adrian and Giorgio chat in, it is actually making it, it's holding it for review. Like, there's something going on where it fully recognizes that, like, what topic we're talking about is Evergreen. And it's not happy that we are talking about it. And it's not happy about some of the chats. Like, if you put white and black in the same comment, it's probably going to flag it and it's going to hold it for me to review it.
Well, I wouldn't even do that myself, but yeah, I understand why.
So we are actively seeing censorship from YouTube as we go through the stream.
I will make it clear, we are not racist, and we never will be, and we never have
Well,
been.
my commentary is that just like in the first video, like when we talked about
We
how
just-
what both that student that was joking about having the all-white class and that student talking about trying to force that all-black class, that having an all-white class or having an all-black class is wrong, and that what these...
Both are wrong, yeah.
All of this is wrong, and just another point, and just to point out what what Benjamin says at the end of his third video and what we talked about at the end of that is that this is not about these specific people and trying to, like, it's not about President George Bridges. It is about the concept, it is about the lead up to this, and it is about the ideology. That is what we're dealing with here.
It's concerning, because you're concerned that these people genuinely believe this to a point to where they're preaching it. Clearly, they believe it quite a bit, and it's
they believe it like a religious act.
It's not like religious. That's not.
Oh, this is completely religious.
No.
Are you sure?
Religion is different. It's not the same. It's not the same.
Wait till we get further in the series.
Religion is different from obsession. Let's get this clear. It's a very different type of thing.
So you think they're just obsessive?
I think they're obsessive. I think that's a better definition.
You don't think that this
because
is
I
religion?
think in a depressive state, I think most people become obsessive over a topic.
But can that also be religious? I mean, they have all.
You can be obsessive over religion, and I think
this is the
that's
problem.
why we use that word.
I think
like
what
they're
disagreeing.
cult-like.
I think what we're disagreeing about is the definition of religion, and that may be something that we need to bring out the next time that we do a stream, because
well, the definition.
We need to actually go for the qualities of what makes something religious, because I think that you have a very colloquial definition of it, but what you don't
that word mean?
It means common definition.
Yeah, I have a common definition because why would I have a more in-depth version?
But it's not necessarily in-depth, is that there are certain steps that make it religious. And Hunter, people who are heavily religious are borderline obsessive on what they're doing. So obsessiveness is a quality of certain types of religious care.
I think obsessiveness is a quality of a lot of things. And I think that's what's happening. I think we're using religion as an
They are obsessive, but we're not. But when I'm talking about it, I'm not talking about it in terms of it being a different definition. I'm trying to layer on top of the obsessive compulsion.
I think just calling it obsessive or compulsion would be a better word.
I don't think that encompasses all of this, though. I really don't think it encompasses.
I think it does, because I think it shows it a lot more clearly.
See, what you haven't seen yet are the videos later on that sort of show us what the students were taught before they got to this point.
Well, it's cult-like. I think cult-like would be also a better definition.
Well, no, they are cult-like. That is clearly...
I think it's cult-like and obsessive. I think they're obsessive about a topic, and I think they've all come together like a cult. I think that's what happened. I think that's what's happening.
And you think that this is only about race?
I think it's more than about race. I think it's about power.
I think
it's about power. I think it's about having fun, clearly, because...
Well, I think it's about the carnival atmosphere. It's the fun
I think it's the
carnival
atmosphere. Because it's a show. It's a show to them. They think it's ridiculous. And we think it's ridiculous what they're saying. I think that's what's going on right
now. Yeah, Giorgio's like doing the waving symbol, like, hello, mods. Hello, people. Clearly,
hi YouTube.
To us. Might need to go on Rumble at some point. So Rumble has good video players, and that'll come out probably in a few months. So that's important, but we're not going to go on Rumble for the time being. We'll probably, if things go really south, Giorgio, we're going to do more streams on locals. So I'm going to do more streams on locals. So don't worry about that.
Personally, Rumble will never be my platform. I don't know.
I mean, for streaming purposes, it has a lot of issues.
Yeah, it's a lot more. I would kind of. It's not. Yeah, it's not my style.
Anyway, I think this was a good discussion.
I think it was good. I think we can continue.
You think you want to continue?
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the video.
Let's continue.
Hi, I'm Jamil. Basically, we just want to begin by clarifying that this land we are on, not ours, and that these bodies that have been working to get this shit done aren't being paid, and a lot of this labor isn't being distributed equally. And how many times in our history and Evergreen's history?
Hunter wants to talk.
No. We cannot not pause. Okay, let's get this clear. We say it's cult-like, and then they start pulling this, like, they're like, no.
These bodies.
Hold up.
These bodies.
Stop.
There's a lot of labor, a lot of emotional labor.
Emotional damage.
Emotional labor.
I think it's emotion. I think they have emotional damage.
But no, look at what Jamil is saying. He's using dehumanizing language like bodies. He doesn't view himself as a human being. He doesn't view anybody else in the room as a human being. He's talking about that there's a lot of emotional... Well, he's not saying emotional labor, but I mean almost basically. Everyone's history and labor. He's talking about labor. What is up? These people sound like the Labor Party, like almost, like not like the Labor Party, but I'm talking about like labor as in terms of communism.
Why they're using a lot of the extreme versions of the vocabulary? I mean, I am too, but they're using it as a way of convincing people. Very. Like,
oh my god!
No,
this is hilarious. Hello, YouTube. Adrian, they held that for review, and I had to allow it. They were not happy.
Well, okay. Well, clearly they're watching us, and we want to make this clear. Hopefully
YouTube.
Clearly they're watching.
Have picked up on our stream.
I don't know why. Okay, let's make this clear. This is an event that has happened. It's transpired. We're rewatching.
Hunter, it's not worth it. YouTube is
no,
just gonna
it's 100% worth it.
YouTube
okay,
is just gonna get angry.
It's 100% worth it. We have to explain it, okay? Because we want to make sure we don't look horrible. Okay, we are trying to understand the events that have transpired and trying to break down how crazy this was. A lot of people have covered this topic
Hunter,
before.
I would love to. I would love to entertain a conversation with the YouTube overlords, but I just don't think it's worth it. And then,
don't call them overlords. Give them respect, man. They're just reviewing.
oh no, they're
man.
just they're authoritarian
Dude,
monsters.
No, you gotta respect them.
Giorgio talks about how it's fanaticism. Yeah, Giorgio, it's because when Adrian did it, I had to accept it. Maybe it hasn't hit onto the stream yet, but I had to accept it. And I didn't realize that it had happened. Like, I have to accept your stuff, and then it pops up where it should have in the chat.
We're still new to this, so it's.
I am the moderator of this stuff, so I have to see everything as it goes along.
And to get back on topics to what I wanted to pause immediately afterwards was. What are we in a poet? Like, were we at the poet place?
Oh, the snapping?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about? Like, when they snap after every poem?
They're just annoying.
Hey, that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing right now. It's so weird. Why are you doing that right now? That is not helping you, like, convince anyone of what you're saying. Can you... I don't
want to
understand.
keep going?
I do.
Everyone's history has this labor fallen on the very specific people that it's fallen on to get this done, to get this to happen. It also needs to be clarified that this is not it. That this is just one step, and that we will be here tomorrow in the library lobby at 1, and that we will be here every day, and that black bodies will be coming to this institution, and brown bodies, and trans bodies, and all these people, and they will need our support, and they will need us to be doing this work, and we will be needing to hold that institution accountable at all given moments, at every day, at every point.
Yes.
Woo! So I'm going to get off because I'm shaking, but I want to clarify that George is claiming that he needs to leave by 5:30, so we need to make sure that we're being really concise and getting our shit said, and you can say it as emotionally, as angrily, as passionately as you need to, but we need to also make sure we're making space for the people who need to be heard, and we need to be getting it done in an effective amount of time. Is that clear?
Yes.
So what's about to happen is a few of us went into a room with George and some of the administration to come up with some really concrete, important work that he needs to be held accountable to and the institution needs to be accountable to on a timely basis. George is going to clarify the points that he's made and that he's committed to, and y'all are going to get a chance afterwards to clarify, to make any, to voice any changes that you feel need to be made, and to voice any concerns you need to happen in this space. Does that feel good to everyone?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. If at any point you have any accessibility needs, you feel you can't be heard, you feel come up to me, come up to someone, we will make that shit happen. It has to happen in this space, okay? Right. Everyone good?
Yeah. All right.
Okay. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamil. Thank you all for coming. This is a beginning. It is not an end. The work is important, critical to the future of the college.
So we're going to fast forward through George Bridges' statement because I have the email and we can get back to this later if we feel it's necessary. There's some things here that do develop into other parts of the story, but I'm just going to briefly read the introduction. I was sent this on May 24th, 2017 at 12:30 p.m., which is about a half hour before the library blockade begins, which I think is kind of interesting that George Bridges, instead of preparing for that blockade, which he has been warned about by his police chief, Stacey Brown, he's doing this bureaucratic stuff, but that's how George Bridges operates. It's always the bureaucratic level. Anyways, I don't want to get ahead of it into the interpretation part. We'll just read this opening statement. Evergreen students, on Tuesday, many of you used your voices, time, and emotional labor, get that, to tell me you do not feel safe. You demanded change and accountability right now. To those who stood up and told me how they have experienced racism on our campus, thank you for your courage. With input from many any students, the following actions will be taken to address the specific concerns raised. Now, I do find it interesting that George Bridges is not allowing for, at least publicly at this point, that there might be other students who have a vested interest in other ways of acting and other ways of being represented by the administration and by these student leaders, so-called, but he skips over that and he just addresses the loudest voices in the room, which he's questioned about later by the actual legislature.
If you can postulate about what your response would have been had one of those protest groups from outside come into your office with the same intent to talk with you about change on the campus, with the same
intensity,
the same voices, the same anger, the same profanity, the same, intention, demands, let's say, of change on the campus.
I know college students. I don't know other groups. I've worked tirelessly for many years with college students, classes of 800 where a quarter or a third of the class didn't like the grades they were getting. That's an interesting experience. So I feel very comfortable with college students even in tense interactions when the language is just plain rude. I don't like it. I don't like the disrespect. And I've talked to the protest leaders very firmly in private conversations about that. But if it's an outside group, I would be much more inclined to call in law enforcement right away. Again, my decisions were based on years of work with students.
But again, I'm getting ahead of myself. One of his responses is that no charges will be brought by the college against students. There's going to be an independent review board, which eventually does get put into place to review the entire situation, that he staffs with people that he's known for 20 to 30 years. He's going to institute a student code of conduct review board built of students, and he's actually going to hire and actually pay leaders of the protest to revise the student code of conduct. Again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. He also wants to institute anti-bias training for all faculty and staff, and also wants to implement a very clear sort of student-faculty evaluation process, or a student complaint of the faculty process. And then he says something about undocumented students, and he says in this email at least, I will commit to following up no later than Friday, June 2nd, with a more detailed timeline of dates by which actions will occur, who will be responsible for implementing each activity, and details about compensation offered for student work on these issues. It is imperative that we take action to dismantle systems of oppression here and further afield. I look forward to your continued input and to working to serve you. Sincerely, George S. Bridges, president of the Evergreen State College. Now, this is before the widespread viralization of these Evergreen videos happens. Furthermore, this is before the library blockade. This is before Tucker Carlson comes on the scene. This is before the wide world wakes up to what's happening at the wokest of woke places, the Evergreen State College. But now we're going to get into the superior cringe. We're going to get into the struggle session. I don't know what else to call this. Still, looking at this footage makes my skin crawl, but let's dive right into this room.
CRC front desk.
Hi, this is Kat over to Evergreen Police. Hi. Hi. We've got a dog in a truck that's super, super hot parked over at the comm building, and evidently that person is at the CRC. Her name is Davis. That sound familiar to you?
She scanned in at 3 o'clock.
Okay, is it possible to page that person and have her go to her vehicle immediately where my officers are?
Yes, I can have the attendant go find her.
All right, thank you very much.
All right,
bye. Evergreen Police.
Hey, this is Melanie at the CRC front desk.
Hi.
Hi, Davis just passed me and she's on her way to her car.
Okay, all right, perfect.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye. Bye.
Oh no, not the soap. It's the
It's
soap.
the soap commercial.
It's a great commercial though.
It's the natural Sasquatch soap commercial. All right.
I love that commercial though.
We are not watching that. All right. We are now moving on to the final video.
So hard.
Episode 6 of this series. We are getting to that point, but we're going to go through some of the chats that we're seeing live right now. I commented, someone said slam poetry readings in response to your, do the snaps, because I can't do the snaps again. Into the snaps. Yeah, I said it was poor slam poetry at that. Giorgio says, be as angry as you need to be, honey. Those who are smart know that high emotions make things worse. And, oh wow, a senator talking about this? A state senator, not like a real senator.
Wow.
Oh, that was kind of mean.
You gotta say it like that?
I'm gonna say it like that.
Say state senator, just not a real senator.
A state senator, not a federal U.S. senator, like the type that everybody really wants to talk about. But yes, a state senator did talk about it. Okay. Actually, it was the state, if you saw in that part of the video, it was the state senate on law and justice in Washington state, because that is how high up and how widespread this particular situation had gotten for people in the state. And this is all because of what happens on May 24th, I believe, which is the library blockade, but we are still on May 23rd of 2017. That is what we are still talking about.
Mind you, this is 2017. Again, at one point, I thought maybe they were clapping afterwards.
No, they were snapping.
They were still snapping, and people were also clapping.
Yeah.
That's so weird. I don't know how to feel about it.
All right, we are going into...
Poetry slam. Just snap, snap,
bad.
Snap, snap, snap.
All right, do you want to go... Do you have any final thoughts on video number 2 of this evening, episode 5?
I'm worried about the dog. Honestly, I'm
No,
really
the dog
worried
gets out.
about
The dog's fine. The dog gets out.
I'm allowed to
That's
worry.
what happened at the end. Did you not pick up on that?
No, because we didn't hear about the part where they get to the dog.
Well, you're not going to hear that part. Just
I want to hear that part, though.
There's probably a police report about it at Evergreen.
Well, they should have told us about the dog. It's a side story that's quite important to me, okay?
It's really not.
Yes, it is.
It's not really that critical to the rest of the story.
Why can't you roll with this? Why can't you let me have this justice?
We gotta focus on wokeness here, Hunter.
Alright, don't say it like that.
I know, it's kind of gross.
Yeah.
You want to keep going?
Let's focus on...
This one's 24 minutes long. We want to pump through this so we can get this
All right,
done before...
Let's go!
Let's see if we can get this done before 11. Let's see if we can pump this through.
What time is it?
It's 10:25.
Oh, that's not bad. Alright, let's go.
What are you doing to protect people who you don't even want here in the first place? Yeah. That's what college is for. You know that's what college is for. Higher education was not for black and brown people.
It's difficult all the time to kind of navigate your way around institutions that are not created for you. And people felt that even more, I think, in the political climate.
It's an ad. Oh my god, get off. Whatever, you guys can probably hear it.
I hate ads.
Adobe is being annoying.
Well, it's probably because of me.
The names may have changed. Racists now call themselves racialists. White supremacists now call themselves white nationalists. The paranoid fringe now calls itself alt-right. But the hate burns just as bright. And this isn't just about one election. It's about who we are as a nation. It's about the kind of example we want to set for our children and our grandchildren. Next time you see Trump on TV, think about all the children listening across America. You know, kids hear a lot more than we think.
When you walk down the hallways and you see Donald Trump's face plastered everywhere, you know, in a direct salute to white supremacy, what about this environment does empower racists who don't even go here to attack black students? I feel like it needs to go beyond just trainings and meetings and be actively talked about. Intersectionality needs to be at the forefront of this university.
I'm grateful that you are raising the issues, that you are holding us accountable, and that you are expressing how you feel about being here. And I mean that. It's absolutely critical that you have that voice, and I want to affirm the fact that students are raising their voices and expressing their frustrations, their anger about the lived experience they have here on this campus. It must change. and I will commit all that I can to making a change. Ready to take a few questions and constructive solutions to how we will proceed.
Okay, I'm curious specifically why Brett hasn't been fired, and I understand that I'm wrong, but it's the way that I understand, like tenure and being a part of a union and stuff, those apply in so much as you don't harass, like you would be fired for sexual harassment, for example. I'm curious why that doesn't seem to apply for racial harassment or for going against the policies of the school. And if he hasn't gone against the policy of the school, I'm curious why we don't have a policy against racially harassing faculty and students.
So I will not comment on any faculty member's status and how the colleges respond to them. It's inappropriate, it's unlawful.
I am really angry about this situation. I am really angry about those emails. And I am really angry at the deans and the Brett and the others. I was truly annoyed about this. And it has to stop. Now it's not stopping. So we gotta do more.
So that stated, I can tell you that we discussed the process by which complaints against faculty and staff are made. We discussed about making that process far more transparent.
I have a proposed solution for something that you can do right now, and that is to disavow white supremacy. Like, you make promises, like, the institution can make promises, but this is an institution on first indigenous land. Like, every single thing about this institution is a testament to white supremacy. So if we don't actively disavow, as the president, there's not things you can't, there's a lot of things you can't do, but something that you can do as the figurehead of the school is actively lead, disavowing and saying that that's not there. There's nothing that you can say to console us, to make us feel safer, if this place is welcome and embracing the people who want us dead.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you. And I will say right now, I'm very concerned.
So I think this is a good point because we got some fun items in the chat. Giorgio actually brings up a really good chat that I think would be hilarious. He talks about, do you remember the Socialist Democratic Party and their meeting where they chanted about points of personal privilege, keeping your noise to a minimum, it's giving me anxiety, and to stop using gendered language?
Okay, see, I'm an independent. I will always be an independent. So
we're not talking about that. We're talking
we
about...
are talking about that because we were bringing up immediately Democrat. We were talking about I don't remember this meeting.
No, we're talking... Well, the social...
I know we were talking... What he's trying to reference. He's referencing clearly something that had happened.
I may do a personal reaction video on it, or I may, if anyone...
I won't be... Anything political, I will not be here. This
will not...
This isn't political, in my opinion. This is actually more of an actual event that has transpired. It's more than political. Like, you really can't call it political anymore. But I think it's also, when you're watching all of it too, you can notice that a lot of it's about, like, you see all this talking and how long it's been, and you're like sitting there like, wait a minute, nothing's getting done. All they're doing is talking.
See, my thing is, if nobody wants... So Hunter's not going to do a reaction video on this, but if anybody else is interested, feel free to reach out, and we will do that reaction stream to the Socialist Democrat Party.
Yeah, you can.
And I'll preview that meeting first to see if it's even worth it, if I want to do it by myself. But if anyone else is interested on being on that stream, I have no issue. I think that would be I think that would be very enlightening to point out how dysfunctional in a public body setting, like voting and needing to debate on policy, that all of this woke stuff bogs down in the weeds.
Yeah, but this is 2017, and yes, it's gonna be very reminiscent of it because a lot of the democratic views, from my understanding at least, fall in line with some of the Black Lives Matter, and these people are obviously in agreement with that that association at this time. So it's like, okay, well, now we understand where they're coming from. Obviously, this is going to be a reference to that. It's also it clearly, from what he had said, is he right? I don't even know.
Who are we talking about? Jamil?
I don't know who was the commenter. I actually don't know.
The comment. Oh, Giorgio. What Giorgio had said.
Was it he or she? I don't know. I'm pretty.
Oh God.
I don't know these people, so I apologize, but I'm learning but on that front. But Yeah, no, seriously though, the fact that they were using feelings as a way of like trying to like say, well, you can't hurt my feelings in this situation, which is I'm assuming he's referencing or she or whatever. Yeah, like that's not an argument. It doesn't. It's like, oh, you're hurting my feelings. It's like, well, you're hurting my feelings. I'm not talking about that though. Now am I?
Yeah, but if you as a person who looks differently than somebody else say that, well, my feelings are hurt too, then they're gonna throw back and they're gonna say you're instituting white supremacist, or they're gonna say something about motherhood.
It's not about what they're going to do. It's about that's just, that's my opinion. It's also just
the other thing to kind of keep in mind in all of this is how much they want George Bridges to self-flagellate in front of them, and how much he will satiate their frothing at the mouth. He says some things that flat out he shouldn't have said, like with that whole thing about how it's unlawful. What he did with Brett and talking about him like that in that room with those students was unlawful. Like,
yeah,
that is a huge problem. That is basic HR 101. You don't do that.
No, you can't do that because you're talking about a staff member.
You're talking about how you want to fire a staff member in front of a bunch of students before you even go through a disciplinary process.
Yeah, you were taught.
That is against any code of conduct. Well, not code of conduct, but that is against the rights of the individual.
Yeah. You didn't even talk to them about this.
You basically accused him of what the students were saying because they were the loudest voices in the room.
Yeah, you can't. You have to be able to.
And I don't know specifically what Washington State's laws are, and I'm actually curious. I'd actually have to sort of look at Brett's story a little bit closer and see what happened in the fall. I know he didn't stay at the college, obviously, for pretty obvious reasons.
Yeah.
I mean, even if he was still allowed to be there, like, the college campus hates him at this point.
That's a good point.
It's pretty bad.
I'm trying to cover my yawn so the audience doesn't yawn with me because I keep yawning.
Adrian, they literally, we're not happy that you put these kids are spoiled brats in the chat, so I had to allow it.
They didn't like these kids are spoiled brats?
As a chat comment.
Well, to be fair, I also feel like this is more of an adult topic anyway.
Notice how often...
These kids are spoiled.
Now, I kind of want to go back. Pay attention, whether it be this video or in future videos, how often the faculty talks about the students as children as opposed to students or young adults.
They're adults.
But pay attention to how often the administration doesn't talk about them like that. Pay attention to how much.
Are we talking about the president or are we talking about the VP?
Any of them. Because the VP had called them children, basically, that other one. That's how she views them.
Yeah.
But also,
which is wrong.
Be aware that this comes up over and over and over again at how the administration, and Benjamin pointed this out, views its role as trying to contain the emotions of the children, and that they are and that they view them not just as emotional children, but also as physically children, that they see down on them.
Which is not
on
good.
One breath, they say that their lived experiences are important and that they should be viewed as student leaders. On the other hand,
then they treat them like they're children. Yeah. Which is absolutely wrong in and of itself. And the reason behind that is pretty obvious. They're not children. They've passed that point. They've long passed the point of being a child at this point. These people are adults. Tried and true. They're adults, or they're 17-year-olds pretty much. And, they have to be treated that these are people who are young adults. And you have to give them basic respect. Whether you really like it or not, that's who they are. They're figuring out themselves. They're figuring out the world. They're learning at a college. They're away from home, or they're pretty close to it. Either way, they're not they're in a different environment entirely. And, this is them without any kind of guidance except for, the teachers and staff and, their friends to figure themselves out. And this is what's happening. You have not very good friends that aren't keeping you in check. Sometimes you don't get, especially your friends are supposed to keep you in check ego-wise as
Oh,
well.
these people are not being kept in check.
They need to keep because your friends keep you in check ego-wise. They put you down sometimes. So you get friends that do that so that it brings you back to reality of like, I need to look at it from a different perspective again, because you're not seeing.
But these people all have friends that are ideologically similar. It's like there's no difference between each person in the friend group.
That's the problem. If you want to actually grow as a person, you have to put yourself in situations that are uncomfortable. And a lot of these people aren't. They're doing the opposite. They're going into comfortability. They don't want to feel a certain way, and I understand why, but ultimately they're not. I guess what I'm saying is that it's not good for them. It's not good for anyone.
I just want to point out that what's hilarious is that Adrian's stuff got, like I had to review it.
Yeah, you had to keep reviewing it,
I had to keep reviewing it, but Giorgio just said, what if it's an odd combination of spoiled materially but emotionally neglected, and that doesn't come up as something I need to mod?
I think it's because it's more of a question, and it's not, like, making fun of anyone.
It's because of the algorithms. It's because of how messed up the algorithms are.
Well, because the person's asking if they're, like, what if they're neglected?
I'm glad this channel is not monetized, because boy, oh boy, this would...
We're getting him to monetization.
Well, just the talk of
monetization. We're gonna do it.
Hunter, I have to get a lot more subscribers before we get to that point.
You have to get better quality videos.
We're going to move on.
That some of you have expressed the fact that you have been threatened for even being here, for articulating these views, and I will do everything in my power to ensure that you're safe.
So, considering that you sent out an email inviting all of the wicked violence of whiteness to once again violate us, hurt us, damage black bodies in whichever way they want to, what are you doing right now to protect us?
I'm listening to you. I'm taking your recommendations. I'm working with.
That's not how you protect somebody that's in danger. That's not what you do. Because guess what? What y'all do when white people are in danger is y'all call Olympia Police Department to campus. That's what y'all do. Right. So the fact that you sent out an email inviting us to once again be put in danger and signed your signature on the end, what are you gonna do? Right now, I don't care about a plan. I'm talking about action. Because if it was your kids, you would be doing hell and high water for them.
What I will.
Scott. It's always an ad. It's always ads. I cannot stand ads.
That's why you buy the thing.
Oh my god.
It's either pay or deal with ads.
Oh, I'm not buying YouTube Premium.
Listen.
Let me know when this is done, so... Oh, wait, we can skip it.
Yeah, well, yeah. This is why.
Oh, so much.
I don't even know if YouTube Premium gets rid of ads.
It does. I think it gets rid of ads. Because then it supplements its,
yeah, ad
revenue
loss.
Stream. Yeah, it's ad loss. Alright, we're going back. I love how I just yell, I hate ads into the screen every single time we have an ad on
I think you're overreacting.
I'm overreacting to it. It's just annoying.
It's annoying, but I don't even think I can't. I'm desensitized from ads.
You're desensitized from ads? You're just desensitized from ads. It doesn't... Comment in the chat, are you desensitized from ads? Do ads give... I'm talking to the chat.
Well, yeah, but of course I am. Because what I do in ads, I just do other things because I hate ads. I'll be like, well, alright, well, this is ad break. Time to rush, go make some popcorn, and run back.
Alright.
Oh, my ad is finished loading. I'm like, oh.
Alright, let's go into it. Oh, whoopsies, I gotta mute.
I will do the moment I walk out of this room is I will go to work on this project. I will go to work on ensuring that our police, our staff, our faculty are as well trained and as anti-black, anti-biased. I will commit to dealing with my own shit, my own racism.
Okay.
Well, no one white was allowed to speak. And there were 2 people of color in Brett's class, in that class, who tried to speak, both defending him and trying to just say, like, you really need to hear what he has to say, because if you understood, then you totally get it. One was told that her skin was too light and that she needed to listen to people of darker colored skin because, I guess I don't really understand that argument.
At least I want to have a chance that lets people who are like tell you why we think it's not racism, because like as I know, like
read the email
for a lot like diversities in the class, so I feel like you should at least one time let him like talk.
So as a person, as people of color, we have to recognize that like we're not black and we do not know the black experience, and so we can't really. We have to recognize that also as people of color, we are also anti-black, and we can't speak to anti-black because we have black in our lives.
She was actually talking about the Chinese Cultural Revolution, which she knows a lot about, and she was pointing out some similarities there. And then another half-black student in our class tried to which she knows a lot about, and she was pointing out some similarities there. And then another she was actually talking about the Chinese Cultural Revolution, which she knows a lot about, and she was
That frantic playing and replaying was because Hunter wanted to
I wanted to make sure I heard that
he
right.
wanted to make
'cause
sure he heard
I
that
was
right.
thinking this in my head. I'm like, I feel like if they're an exchange student and they're saying something, there's more to the backstory here, and then they give more to it. And it's just, I don't know what was that revolution?
The Chinese culture, it was Mao's revolution. I think she's talking about Mao's cultural revolution with the Red Guard, and that's what we're talking about.
I actually don't know the history on that one, to be honest.
I don't know the whole history of that one. There's a few people.
I'll have to look that up.
Like Lily Tang Williams up in New Hampshire, like talks a lot about the Cultural Revolution because she grew up in the Chinese Cultural Revolution under Mao, and she was technically a part of the Red Guard. All of the young people were a part of the Red Guard, but
yeah, what happened though? What was it?
There's a lot. It's very similar to what we're seeing now. It is the important key point is to understand it as a cultural revolution because it was a cultural revolution. Yeah. And to understand that what we're experiencing now is also a cultural revolution.
So these are cultural revolutions
that we are experiencing.
So so then she would have a lot of input onto this, and she would actually know a lot more. She might actually know more than the people who are speaking currently, like those current quote unquote leaders. This exchange student might actually have more information on how to deal with this type of thing. But we're just gonna shut her down because of her skin color, which is actually racist. And mind you, I think now we're in the 2022s, and I think we've had we had Asian hate pop up. That became a thing, which I actually do think I don't think it was bad, but I don't know, obviously. But it
was to cover up for the fact that for an entire year there was basically allowed to be Asian discrimination, and there is still Asian discrimination in this country through the college admissions process.
Yeah.
But they didn't want to talk about it because there was a lot of work being done on the college admissions scandals and stuff going on, and a lot of stuff going on with Harvard and Yale. And when those decisions were coming out, that was when the narrative needed to change in the media, so that way we wouldn't focus on that, and we would focus on just physical hate that was going on, instead of the fact that there's, quite honestly, total discrimination in terms of the fact that Asians can't get into colleges unless they outperform everybody, because that's the standard that we've set. The way that we do our calculations.
That's so racist. That's literally racist. That's literally racist.
On average, in order for I forget how many SAT points it is in order for an Asian to get into an Asian American student to get into college in the United States, but it's significantly higher than any other race group because they do admissions based on race, And because of the competitive edge, even though 2 Asian students may deserve to get into a college, only one of them may technically get in if they have a slightly higher test score. And then they let somebody with a lower test score that maybe looks like you or I in just because they need to fill a diversity quota. That's what Harvard and Yale have been doing, and that's what they've been caught on, and it's extremely illegal. It should be extremely illegal. It should be
illegal for clear reasons, but
I forget how those cases have been going, but I know it hasn't been going well for Harvard and Yale.
Yeah, good.
But they've also been there's other things that have been pushed in the media going on in order to distract from the ongoing litigation on those and the ongoing decision making.
I was also gonna say this. I actually do think the Asian hate was actually true because.
No, there was clear problems going on. The problem is that was also happening because Black Lives Matter protesters were targeting that.
But I mean
that was clear on video as well.
I think there were a lot of stupid people, and I think they were trying to find something to blame during all of this.
There were a lot of people.
They were trying to find something to blame, and they decided we're going to blame the people who are here because we're stupid.
There was a lot of disgusting individuals who took advantage. There were a lot of disgusting individuals who took advantage of the situation, on top of the fact that they then reuse that same footage from those disgusting situations to hide the fact that Harvard and Yale were doing biased admissions processes.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Clearly.
All right, let's go back.
All right. Continue.
Pointing out some similarities there. And then another half-black student in our class tried to speak, and she was told that she didn't understand. And at one point she yells out, "I'm not oppressed." And people are like, "Oh, you don't understand." And man, it's just so silly, because if you're validating everyone's opinion as like the truth, then you can't discount voices who don't fit in with that. But I guess that doesn't matter.
You were targeted. That's all you need to know. Your brown skin, people who look like you were targeted. They don't give a fuck about you. This morning and she didn't want to. I know, but I'm letting you know. They not on your side. Shit. Community love. Community love. Let's get back. I'm just letting you know. They gonna come shooting at you too. You're not safe. Oh my God! Shut the fuck up or something. No. Bitch, we fighting for you. Like, come on. You're not. No.
And everybody's like, "Well, she speak up because somebody keeps interrupting this man." I'm still trying to wait for him to answer the question whether it's bullshit or not. I want to hear what he has to say. So he can
Sit your ass down. Yeah. Just turn, y'all. These are the lost ones. The lost ones are rising. Pay no attention. Thank you, White.
Nobody. I'm over it. We're not simpletons. We're adults.
Right.
And so I'm telling you, you're speaking to your ancestors. All right? We've been here before you. We built these cities.
Right.
We've had civilization way before you ever had.
Right.
Coming out your caves, okay? So let's be clear. What should the repercussions be for you if you don't follow through?
Impeachment.
My commitment.
No, sorry, no.
All right, we're going back. We're talking again. So
Oh, we are. Okay.
Yeah. So, what are your thoughts?
All right, that's just racist. Really, the whites have brought us water. I didn't go very far for the sweater. Would you like it?
I don't want it. But here's my thing about the whole situation.
Oh yeah, you're white. You have to go get some water.
Hunter,
too.
let's not play into that.
That was ridiculous. That was absolutely ridiculous.
It was bad.
That was so
That was
racist.
bad.
That was so messed up. What are they doing?
So on the other side of that, and this is something I really want to point out, did you notice that what George Burgess did at the end of that last part, and everyone was cheering?
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of bending a knee to the mob?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Giving them what they want.
Do you think that that's what George Bridges was doing in that moment?
No, because did you read the question?
About
Did you read the question?
I did read the question.
No, I don't think he did.
No, I read the question.
Maybe I need to reread the question then, because I thought I read that right. I was certain that.
Let me bring it back up on screen, and then he talks about how he was going to get fired.
Yeah.
So let's be clear. What should the
simpletons.
repercussions be for you if you do not follow through? Follow through on basically getting rid of quote unquote white supremacy at the college, which to them means any type of organizational structure. And he responds with the only answer that they would accept, which is I should be fired.
Yeah, which is true. It's
bending the knee.
If you see whites, they're talking about white supremacy, right?
Well, they're talking about, and this is the thing that we need to talk about, is that their definition of white supremacy is not our definition of white supremacy.
Well, okay, the actual definition of white supremacy is really messed up, honestly.
Well, I understand that, but they're talking about the messed up version that we're talking about with respect to the Smithsonian's poster.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
Oh, they're talking about that
being
one.
on time. They're talking about
I'm
that
not
kind of stuff. They're talking about organization. They're talking about logic. They're talking about reason. That is what they have an issue with.
About? That's not even.
That's what they're kind of going at. And they're telling George Bridges, in charge of an institution of higher learning that is supposed to be about logic, reason, and fact finding.
Yeah.
That he should be fired if he doesn't dismantle the concepts of logic and reason.
No.
He knows that's what they're asking him because he speaks their language. But he's at a higher level than them in terms of the hierarchy because they actually they listen to him, which is ironic considering he is a cis white man. They listen to him because he's in this state of power.
We're going to use what you actually I
am mentioning this, and it's important to mention it in this context. Because if we don't understand. It's important to bring that up because it's hypocritical because the students themselves don't think that authority figures and people who are white should be in power, but they're defaulting to the man in the room for one reason or another because they think he can fix all of their personal problems.
Well, I think it's just
through an institution of hypocritical policy.
I think it's because he's the figurehead. I don't think they actually respect him. Let's get this clear.
Well, they don't respect him because they're making him go through this flagellation exercise. However, he invited himself up there, and he's holding everyone else in the room hostage, essentially. Not him, he's holding his staff hostage. The other people in the room are...
I really don't think it's hostage anymore. I think he's trying to deal with their situation because if they're protesting, he doesn't want it to escalate, so he's trying to deal with it before it gets worse. And that's fair. You want to deal with the problems that the people are talking about. But hostage, you can't always say it's a hostage situation. Like, some of them were... Like, the one with like Brett earlier, like, in the first one, that was clearly a hostage situation. But, like, the one where they...
This is this is a fundamental question I want you to ask yourself.
Here is not either.
George is there of his own volition.
Yes.
But is everybody else in the room there of their own volition?
He's their boss, and he is telling them to come to this because it has to do with
But they're in a hostile situation. He's invited himself into the hostile situation. He has every individual right to do that. Does he have the right
to tell
to
them
make his staff members
I don't
want
think he
anything
does.
to do with
if
this?
they don't want to be there, they shouldn't be here. Then if
when they have other things to do, this is not at all related to their jobs. This makes no sense.
So if they don't want to be there, they've made it clear to him, and he said you have to still have to go.
But it's peer pressure.
That's different. That's a different scenario because that's saying you have to go no matter what. I'm assuming all of them have volunteered, but I guess maybe you're right. Maybe some of them were peer pressured into it, and those people should. That's wrong. That's obviously a hostage a hostage situation.
And think about it in terms of the other students as well. Do you think that every student that's there at this point, as we keep going through the day...
I think it's socially, I think they have realized I have to go to this, right?
Because everyone's going and everyone will see who's there and who isn't there.
And if you don't go to this, right, there are two reasons. One, you're probably actually studying. Okay.
But they're not going to like that because they don't like it because they see studying as white supremacy.
which is super funny to me because that's not even true.
And also, Giorgio, I'm not going to bring up all your comments, but I'm just going to agree with you on we need to learn more about Chinese history. And
is that what they're
yeah,
saying?
there's just a lot.
There's a lot of comments?
Well, it's not like a lot of comments. It's just like, she dared to point out the similarities to Maoism to the woke crowd. I mean, a lot of Chinese Americans will do that from time to time because they don't fear it. And then Giorgio also says, the false consciousness argument, I bet she would feel more unsafe around these woke freaks than random white people in society. That's probably true.
Yeah.
What would a better college president with backbone do? That's a... they wouldn't have ever had that meeting with the student protesters. They would have called the cops, and they would have let Stacey Brown bring in the state police.
Yeah, that's a good point. But I think it's all... I don't know if the police would have made it better. I think it would have got worse. I think
this was going to be bad anyway, but I think that there's a difference between letting them walk all over you and saying that this is not okay and you're putting everyone at risk.
I think if they did the police earlier on, I think it would have actually de-escalated the situation.
It wouldn't have de-escalated the situation, but the key people who were the troublemakers, would have been arrested, or they would have been put into isolation and it would have stopped.
Those few people...
George Bridges is enabling people like...
Yeah, they're enabling... Because it isn't one person. It's more than one. It's like...
Well, you see that group of students... Well, it's not really great. It's like a core group of like 5 or 6 people that are really
20 people that are outspoken. You don't notice it because there's so many of them.
And then there's 1 or 2 teachers that stand behind them, but you just don't see it on the video.
Yeah, there's 20 people. Well, you do see it on the video.
Well, it's not really 20 people. It's
people.
really... No, as you look throughout the story, it's really like key 5 or 6 people that just kind of all live and work together, and it's a whole thing.
I think there's more people.
I don't think so.
All right, well, I agree to disagree.
All right. You want to keep going?
Yes.
Where is my mouse?
My commitment.
No, sorry, no, like... Oh, okay.
We all know that having staff and faculty that look like us is how we succeed. Honestly, if it was not for Tyrone over there, I would not be here.
That's so real. That's so fucking real.
So, what are you doing, and what is Stacey doing to make our police force and our staff and our faculty and everyone else that we see, not just the people we have classroom time with, but our advisors, our counselors, the health center, anyone. Who looks like us? And how do we know that we can go to them?
One of my top priorities is increasing faculty of color, increasing staff of color, and let me this last year we hired 14 new faculty members. Of those, 5
14. That's nothing to be.
That's who we hired.
What about the 5? Then 5 of the what?
5 of color, and then which is...
That's not the majority. Why are you bragging like that's the majority?
I know, it's a higher percentage.
Microaggression with your hands and your posture, please. Yeah. Put your hand down, George. Put your hand down. Don't do that. Watch yourself. That's not appropriate.
That's not good.
You gotta put your hands down. You know you gotta put your hands down.
Yes, Ike! Yes, Ike!
Wait! Stacey, come to the front! Why are you hiding?
Can you address her with questions?
We did not know what the circumstances were. There was 2 officers that were working, myself and another officer, and we responded to the area to see if that was actually what was going on. The information that we had was that this person was in danger and were trapped and were not able to leave the room. So when we got there, there was a very large number of students that were there.
Outside!
A different building.
You were not by the classroom.
Yo, we know what happened. They're just saying some bullshit. Let them say the bullshit and then we'll call it out.
Well, if you already have your mind made up.
Shut up! We're not talking to you! Shut the fuck up!
We were there.
You weren't there! We've been up since 10 o'clock!
So at the time, we we responded with the information that we had. A lot of times in law enforcement, we don't have all the information when somebody calls 911 or when somebody calls us. So we respond and we ask people for what's going on, and we did try that. The students did not want to talk back to us. They didn't want to answer questions. Officer Odell did try going through the crowd so that he could reach, find out.
Continue. I'm sorry. I'm just reacting.
I ended up pulling him back out so that we could try to figure out and talk to students about what happened. The students were not responding to us or would not tell us what was going on. And so at that point, we did not know if we had a faculty member that was being trapped or not being allowed to leave a room. And that's what our concern was.
Okay, now that I have it. When you first got this job, didn't you say that you were going to try to make a policy for police services to communicate with students and make a community? So how come Officer Odell was throwing students out of the way and shoving them and pushing them out of the way to get to only PLC students? Right. What was up with that? He didn't even try to stop and ask, hey, what's going on here? Why is there something going on? He just proceeded to run towards us like he was in fucking football and push us out the way.
And we weren't by the classroom, by the way. We were walking away from Sim.
Yeah,
We were downstairs, 2 floors down from where the scene of the crime was.
I did pull him back because
you had to pull him back because he was out of control.
Wow.
When you first got this job, didn't you say that you were going to try to make a policy for police services to communicate with students and make a community? So how come Officer Odell was throwing students out of the way and shoving them and pushing them out of the way to get to only PLC students? What was up with that? He didn't even try to stop and ask, hey, what's going on here? Why is there so many people? He just proceeded to run towards us like he was in fucking football and push us out the way.
We weren't by the classroom.
And yeah, he said, I don't care.
We were walking away from Sim.
Yeah, he threatened to use pepper spray on us.
I did pull him back because
you had to pull him back.
I did.
He was out of control.
Wow.
So the investigation that's happening, we did it. Did we do it? Is it done? Did we do it? I think we did it.
The question that somebody asked was why we responded to Brett. We would respond to anybody. It doesn't matter.
But you did it! You're supposed to be able to make community for us. You said that when you got hired. So why the fuck are you in that police fucking process? Why would you answer your phone calls? But you would answer for everybody, but you would answer for not nobody.
I want to remind y'all that this does not have to be a question and answering session because they're not in charge.
Hey, I have a question. If we put Brett in so much danger, why is he here?
My answer, Brett?
No! Hey y'all.
More ads, more fun.
It's not fun. Don't pretend it's
I'm trying
fun.
to get this off the screen. So what is your immediate reaction so far to some of that?
Oh, it's...
So first of all, I can't believe... So, yeah,
That
you,
is-
just react.
It's... Oh, my... It's... Okay. It's hilarious. It's so ridiculous and... Like, did we just do the investigation? It's like, it's an official investigation, so they actually have to write all of this information down. There's a lot more to an investigation to, we just investigated it. It's like...
Well, no, I think what Jamil was saying in that instance was, did we succeed in the investigation that we wanted? Basically, did we get the outcome that we wanted by throwing the temper tantrum that we did?
I guess they did.
I mean, that's kind of... I mean,
They got what they wanted, I guess. They've created all of this. So
Adrian.
yeah.
So Adrian puts didn't know it was this bad. I'm gonna have to. I actually don't remember if Adrian saw the whole thing on how bad this.
Clearly you didn't.
Clearly Adrian has not. Clearly, and I encourage everybody
This is what we're talking
and their
through,
mother to watch the complete Evergreen story.
Yeah,
please watch it. Videos are linked in the description.
We
watch
don't
it
even...
without our commentary.
Yeah.
Watch it with our commentary.
Yeah.
Watch the videos.
We
watch
recommend...
the complete 25 episodes.
We recommend watching this on your own time.
We recommend a lot of watching of this because this is so important to understand some of what we're seeing.
We only recommend it because they're they're pretty actually short videos and we're breaking down them. If you do like a quick run through some of these videos and then you come and watch, like, just you don't have to actually watch through all of them like a binge. You could just watch whatever before us, like the three will do before us, and then we can break it down afterwards.
But my thing is,
because it's like,
watch it because this is what we're seeing now.
It's not, yeah, it's yeah, because a lot of this is back in 2017, and a lot of this is identical to what's happening in 2022, 2021. It's identical. It's the same. It's exact. And this is Evergreen. This
and
is
it's
a
so
Washington,
cultish. This is so cultish.
Yeah.
Did you see the screaming and the panic over? And
it's a lot. It's actually.
Did you notice that they don't want Brett to answer questions when they pointed him out in the room? How do you feel about if he answered questions? Do you think that threatens their power dynamic?
Yes, I think it does. But I also think they don't like him. They just don't like him in general, so they don't want him to speak. Plus, I also don't think they want him to speak because I don't think they've already like judged and executed him. He's already like, nope, you've committed your crime. It's too late. You can't even explain yourself. But if they committed a crime, they'd be like, oh no, we have to explain ourselves. Blah blah blah. It's one of those situations, and I say crime as in more like. Not even crime. Crime isn't the word. I would use it in more of a sense of, why did you do what you did? Because, yeah.
Alright, I am going to transition back, and we're going to keep watching the Evergreen story.
They think a riot's about to happen.
You feel stressed? You feel fucking pressure? That's all day, every day. Hey! I can't back the bullshit. I have a fucking right to live. I come to school. You do this bullshit, you're gonna adjourn it? Cause what, you can't? How you one of us gotta stay here? This is my skin color. I can adjourn this shit.
That man poured his fucking soul out, and you're still here. Look, you called for a man who was being harassed or threatened. Why the fuck is he here? Please explain.
And what gets me is there was Shamir could just blatantly ask you what you could do to protect students, and you were ready. No, you sat here and you disregarded that all of us came here and took a risk to come here and be in this room with the way everybody's acting on campus, but you were ready to adjourn it for one white professor. Right? How you gonna protect us right now? That's the question right now.
I interrupted the meeting because I just want to have a conversation. I wasn't going to...
You're told policing. What you're speaking is anti-black violence code and speech right now. This is exactly what we've been fighting against. Because something gets uncomfortable for just a second. You want to adjourn the meeting. You said it needs to be done by 5:30. It's 5. We still have 30 minutes and we want to talk. We have a lot of things to say. Like, first off, why is police services trying to change their name to the police department on campus?
Bring that up! Bring that up! Because we were... Yeah, come on! Bring that up! Your name is Brett! Bring that up! Bring that up! Bring that up!
White people talk to your man! All these people of color, if you have not seen the emails that this man sends out, he loves attention. He loves to talk. So I just want to be really...
You got an article now? We sent it out. You got articles about it now? What is your
He does not deserve our attention.
They both
want to call me to task. They want me to come to the podium so that they can ridicule me. But when I say, hey, I'm ready to go to the podium, they're like, no, don't let him go to the podium, right? So that tension between we want you in our sights if we're in control, but we don't want you in a position to change what people understand, so we're going to shut you down.
What does that say about what they're actually doing, whether they're aware of it or not?
It's very simple. They are on a mission. They know what they're trying to accomplish, and they feel entitled to do anything in service of that goal. And so they want the benefit of every doubt. They want each rule to be active when it serves them and deactivated when it harms them. And so the point is, there's no consistency to this. There's no conservation principle. There's no fundamental thinking. It is simply, we know we have the right to, for example, remove police from the campus. That means anything that allows us to push in that direction is justified, and anything that might marshal in the other direction is illegitimate. And it's that simple. That's
and
the
at the same time that they do that and say that, they're screaming to an authority figure, George Bridges, how unsafe they feel. And they want him to make sure that they're safe.
Well, I mean, of course, if they're unsafe, then that gives them special rights to demand.
So it doesn't matter that they're shoving away what's protecting them.
There is, I saw,
at the same time,
no, collectively, individuals are different, but collectively I saw no ability to track a logical argument and follow it through to its conclusions. What I saw was people wanting to isolate each point, evaluate whether it worked in their direction, and then decide what they thought about that fact or that idea based on whether it helped or hurt them, not based on whether or not it was true.
Community love! Community love! Community love! I'll be damned if I let y'all center whiteness again. Right. Because I'm still wondering why when white students are in danger, you can call the police to come and help them. When white faculty is in danger, you can call motherfucking backup for them. That's crazy, huh? But how many black and brown students have stood up and told you we were in danger, and your ass is still standing over there, and you ain't got shit to say? You don't got shit to say. Police chief, you don't got shit to say. Hello, Ken, how you doing today? You don't got shit to say. Come on now. And let me remind y'all, that's how whiteness works. Whiteness is the most violent fucking system to ever breathe. It's not an accident. That shit is systematic as fuck. So while we sitting up in here acting like this conversation is gonna change shit, y'all know what changes shit? Action. That's why the fuck we in this room.
Listening sky, let us march on till victory is won.
I would like for folks to take some time to look at this image and look at the two different realities that these students face at the same place should put into perspective the direction that we're going to go this afternoon. And my grandfather and my great-grandfather that I just mentioned are from St. Croix. And if you don't know where St. Croix is a part of the Caribbean. And it is actually a U.S. territory. But it was one of the major ports or spots when the slave trade happened that black folks were dropped off. And there's been many efforts throughout history across the world for revolts. But in 1848, on the island of St. Croix, through education, through organization, and tired of waiting for change to happen, they forcefully took the island back. And they were led by the queens of the island.
Find some breathing room. It's another ad Okay. Let's go back. Let's try and deal with this.
Okay, so
what are your thoughts?
Basically, that...
Just trying to take a note in the middle of all this. Keep going.
Yeah, this right now we're talking about history for some reason, right? Like, there's a reason for it.
I forgot what's up on the screen next. This is gonna be hilarious.
But okay, so what was the point of the history lesson here?
Of what he was talking about, St. Croix.
So okay, let me think about this for a second. Okay, so okay, he was talking about St. Croix, and he was talking about how they were organized, and how the Queens of the Island had led them to like taking back their island. Which is it true?
I don't know the whole history of the island of St. Croix, but let's just take him at his word about the revolution.
We're gonna take him at his word on this, because he's probably right, based on those pictures.
But here's my commentary. What does that have to do with now?
I think what was interesting about it is that he said organized, right? It was a very organized group, and that they were led into taking back, something that was theirs. What I find interesting about it is that the group that we're dealing with that's trying to create change is unorganized. They act organized, but they're not organized.
Well, some sectors of them are organized and deeply controlling, but this group of people, when they get too big, they are not in control at all.
No, and you can control a group like that, because you can have a common goal, and if you don't believe in that goal, then you wouldn't be with our group. That's what you could say. You could be like, that's what our group's about. If you don't believe with this type of thing, then you can leave our group. That's how it works.
My other comment that I really want to make on what we just saw is, again, the cultish mentality, the double standards that we're seeing constantly throughout this, and the fact that they're getting more emotional. One of the things that I also thought was really interesting is that Chief of Police Stacey Brown willingly, I don't know if she was unarmed. I think she probably was concealed carry during that. But I don't think she was unarmed. She didn't say anything. I don't think she was unarmed. She went into plain clothes. But she walked into the lion's den. For what purpose? It really didn't accomplish much of anything.
No, it didn't.
And while I don't think she's the bad cop as you look throughout the entire series of this, I mean, this is a bad situation. It also...
She doesn't seem like it so far either.
It also points out the fact that there's so much control that the protesters have because George Bridges is allowing them to walk over everybody.
Yeah. It's really...
It's a problem because you're basically held hostage by the president of the university, being directed as a puppet, as a limited puppet, a bureaucratic puppet, through the spirit of these protesters for the sole purpose of...
appeasement?
Yes.
Which is... it's like trying to appease a tantrum child sometimes. You're not going to give them the right toy. Like a tantrum.
Well, it's not even about giving them the right toy. You can give them the right toy, but they just don't want it, and then they go and
That's what I said. You can never give them truly the right toy that they want, because it doesn't...
They just want to be upset for the purposes of being upset. Yeah, and that's what was happening throughout this whole sequence.
Yeah. A lot of it was just them being upset and trying to say you wouldn't understand.
Giorgio says get ad block. Who knows? I may have
you can get an ad blocker.
I'll add that to the list of things
or you can use another type of internet service or browser. There's a couple of browsers that do that. Depends on what you prefer. The browser just has to do with something else. Never mind. Ad blocking particularly, I'm assuming, has to be... You have to get an ad blocker.
I don't know, we'll see what happens.
I think we should get a NordVPN so we can get ads from different locations.
I really don't want ads from different locations.
I just said some kind of thing. It could be... I just said the one I knew the most, but it could be any VPN. It'd be hilarious.
So do you want to see the ending of this wonderful...
Yeah, I gotta see the ending with...
You gotta see the ending.
Is that a bear or something? A cat?
Well, that's a cat in the corner, but this is so important to the story, ladies and gentlemen, we just have to finish it off.
I don't believe it, but we're gonna see it. See how important.
Where are you guys going? No, 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 no. Bijou. Shit.
I think I can. I think I can. I think I can.
I think I
So we're back, and we are done with that because I needed to make everybody watch through the I don't know if they were ducks or if they were geese. I think they were actually.
They were geese and a cat, or ducks.
Geese and a cat.
Ducks, whatever. Listen, I think you just clickbaited me. I think this guy just clickbaited me. I was waiting for something. I forgot what they were talking about last. That's how upset I am. So upset I am.
Adrian puts question marks, and and Giorgio says a Benjamin Boyce moment, and Giorgio says riveting ducks.
Riveting ducks. I believe the ducks were unimportant, but I do appreciate the ducks. I do like ducks.
That was a good moment.
I like ducks. I do like ducks. I wish it was a little bit of a shorter moment, but I do like myself some ducks.
And the cat, the black cat going.
No, I didn't like the cat. The cat wouldn't leave the ducks alone, you know? I'm like, dog, leave the cat alone.
Oh, come on.
And then the cat keeps bothering the duck. Cat, stop bothering the ducks. Leave the ducks alone. What did the ducks do to you? And I'm like, well, they kind of got close to you, so I get that. But
where am I on the screen here?
You're like a puma.
But what are your final thoughts on as we've gotten through 6
Puma
videos
cat.
of this now?
We've gone through 6. I think we need to get through more.
We need to get more. Ben's includes stuff like his cat wandering around outside at the end of his videos. He does do that sometimes. Adrian, did you know that? He does that sometimes? I don't think you were aware that he adds random stuff at the end of his videos. And then at the beginning of his videos sometimes for the fun of it. It's part of his style.
He just likes random.
No, it's just for the... you know, I don't know why Ben does that.
I guarantee you it's to break up the monotony of how crazy it is.
Maybe it's a calm thing to have to
It's to
offset
calm
the
you
crazy
down.
human.
It's totally to calm you down because it's so mind-boggling. You need the ducks. You need to calm down and you gotta watch some ducks.
I guess.
Take a duck break, you know? Here's
a duck break. Hashtag duck break. Hashtag Benjamin Boyce.
Hashtag Benjamin Boyce creates duck break. I'm with ducks. Sit with ducks.
I wonder if we could get that to trend on Twitter.
What, hashtag duck break?
Hashtag duck break. Hashtag duck.
Hashtag take a duck break. That's what it should be.
Hashtag take a duck break.
I think we should, yeah.
I like this. I might make it trend later. I might try to. I might post it later just for the fun of it.
I'm going to post it first.
You don't even know how I'm going to post it.
I'm just going to write hashtag duck break.
All right, go for it.
Hashtag take a duck break.
All right, so are there any final thoughts? Are there any final chats?
What if someone already has hashtag take a duck break? Then I'm going to be more.
It doesn't matter. It's going to just be wildly confusing on the internet for a few hours, and you know what that's. I like this idea.
I like this idea.
I like the wild confusion factor of what we can do here.
I don't like the confusion factor. I just want people to find out what the confusion factor was.
And if we attach the video to it, video 6 to it, then we can trick people into watching this.
You can do that, and I'll just post hashtag take a duck break. I'm not going to... I wouldn't even do that with my own content, in all honesty. I understand the point of it.
I think it's funny. I think it's
funny.
I think it's
but
a quality entertainment.
I think it's something that I want people to go and find, and I'd rather them to be confused. And if they don't want to find it, you know,
I think I should put the video and put hashtag take a duck break, and then just put that on and just see if people want to go and see it.
Yeah, I think it's important.
I might actually tag that really big duck account and see if they retweet it.
You should do that.
Ah, this is great.
You should also
This is great.
Oh, yes.
Oh, this is brilliant.
I need to post...
Because they post anything that's duck related.
Hashtag take a duck break. Yeah, that's a good point. Hashtag take a duck break.
They're going to look at it and be like, what the hell?
Hey.
Right.
What the heckin' heck?
What the HE double hockey sticks is this mess?
There's... Oh, 11E... No, 1134.
I don't even know. Anyway,
43111.
Benjamin has conversations.
He has combos at the end sometimes. It's hilarious.
Conversations.
I've been punned.
Oh, it is on the screen too. I don't know why I just didn't point you to the screen. Because we put the chat over there.
We did put the chat over there. Conversations.
So is there
hashtag
duck break?
Hashtag take a duck
Hashtag take a duck break.
I like hashtag take a duck because I think it could be both. We could do both.
Oh, we could get both away with
But I was worried that hashtag duck break would be like breaking ducks.
So
Like
it's
someone breaking ducks
11:29,
in
and I
half.
want us to finish before we hit 3 hours. I think we're pretty much all set. Do you want to do this tomorrow night?
Tomorrow night, maybe.
Maybe we'll consider it. We'll post it in locals if we are going to do it. I
Yeah.
am also going to post in my locals community questions if you like. What day and time you would prefer for us to do weekly streams on this, because I think we're going to transition to just doing this weekly instead of just punching it off with like 3 at a time and pushing ourselves through it.
What? Oh, doing like one video?
Doing like one joint video a week on this instead of like we may do it tomorrow, or we may push it back a week.
We might do stream, we might do a video. I think it should just be... Because there's so much to talk about. Like, I think the video should be... It depends on what the topic is. Like, some of them are stretched over a couple of them. And it needs to go that far, but some of them aren't, so it's hard to tell. Break it up.
We'll break it up. We'll figure it out. But I'll post something in locals.
It would give me time to actually start posting, because I'm probably going to post a game. I'm going to post, like, team fight tactics, because I just need to play something.
Oh, you're just going to post random stuff on your YouTube?
No, it's not random. I play games. I play video games.
Oh, that's right. He usually plays video games.
Yeah, I play video games a lot, and it's, I don't know.
His account is DELTADEADEYE, just as a reminder.
Yeah, it's a name. It's also, I don't know, I thought it was interesting. Do they have the
patience and the curiosity to see the ducks at the end? We'll make them.
I mean, no, people... Okay, let's get this clear. People do not have the attention spans for this. That's why I need to... I don't know, I'm just trying to not do...
I'll come up with a way. I'll come up with a way between today and tomorrow where I'm going to kind of try and post it and make it go through and trend.
Hashtag...
Let me figure this out when it trends, or not when it trends.
It's not going to trend.
No, you never know what could happen. I'm going to try and make it so that Benjamin's tagged onto it later than the duck account. So that way...
So we get a different reaction?
So that... Well, not so it gets a different reaction, so that way it, like...
To give some time.
Traps the duck account...
Into
retweeting and liking it.
Yeah.
And then it starts to trend it, because everything on that account moves.
What is wrong with you? Why are you telling... You shouldn't tell your audience.
So that we can get the duck account to accidentally post based content.
This should be after stream conversation, not during
No, we're
stream.
going to strategize about what we do on Twitter, because no one on Twitter is going to watch this.
Oh, yeah. Twitter... Yeah.
Duck account's not going to know that this is happening.
Oh, yeah. I also just consider Twitter just... most of it is just a cesspool, so I'm just gonna post only great content.
We should use this to our advantage to spread the good word of the based Benjamin boys. That is my commentary on this.
You are literally obsessed.
I'm not obsessed. You could possibly say I'm a Boy Scout, but I'm not obsessed.
He's a fan.
Anyway, I think I think it'd be funny. I think it'd just be
funny.
I think we're trying to overhype this too much.
But
we're gonna work on it.
We're not overhyped. Honestly, I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny. All right, so that's all. We're over 3 hours. I'm gonna switch over and we're gonna finish it off. But you can follow me. I'm Justice Graves. Welcome. My co-host for today was Hunter Graves at DELTADEADEYE. You can follow me. It's been at the bottom this whole time, but you can like this video. Please share and subscribe if you are not already subscribed to this channel. And more importantly, please, 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 please join me on Twitter at Justice J.H, where we're going to do the weird Twitter, duck thing, and where On Locals, I'm probably going to post about stuff too as well. There's no at symbol in front of it, but I'm on Locals, justicegraves.locals.com, justicegraves.locals.com, where you can sign up for free, or you can be a paid subscriber, whatever you want to do. That is what I have to say for today. I really appreciate it. Hunter, do you have any last comments or thoughts?
I have socials as well. I don't post a lot. I'll post cool drawings or images on Instagram, and I will, because I do have an Instagram, and all of it's DELTADEADEYE. I actually have all of them, so it's like, yeah. But on Twitter, I've posted a couple of times. I'll probably only be posting stuff that's funny, because that's all I want to do. He's all the other intelligent stuff. And YouTube, I'll be posting content. If we get more time, then yeah, I'm definitely going to be posting some content. I mean, I don't think you guys will watch it, but
you probably won't, but whatever, just do whatever you people want.
I don't really care. Just don't be a jerk, and we're all good. I mean, no one's a jerk here so far, so then we're all good. There you go.
Except for the random trolls.
Well, those trolls won't make it very far.
I think they're just bot accounts.
I don't really care, because I think they're just bots accounts, too. I've experienced... You're going to get a lot of bot accounts when you're starting out. That's just, it's a guarantee.
All right, I'm going to mute us, and we are going to go into the end intro sequence, and then I'm going to end the stream.